Okay, folks. Oh, that's actually quite noisy. Excuse me for this. Yeah, it's gonna be me again, streaming live this time for something completely different. And this is going to be a bit of a different exercise. It's going to be a bit of a different experience. So please bear with me, chat, if there will be any people on the chat. It is a bit of a middle of the week evening, I would say. And this is a bit of a different video. And this time I will actually rely on the folks watching it later, most likely, to make the most of it. I have spent about 30 minutes preparing for it, messing still some stuff up in the way. But here we are. Welcome to the interactive walkthrough, or an interactive walkthrough, I should say, through Jinteki.net. And this is going to be something that I generally decided to do on the fly without too much preparation, as I've spent enough time on Jinteki.net itself to probably help folks out who have not been using it much. So this video is, or this stream, but I hope this is going to be also viewed later as a video, is meant for all those of you who may have started your adventure with Netrunner, the card game, in its digital format online quite recently. And you might be wondering, how the heck do I use this platform? How the heck can I actually enjoy the games? How can I use the tool, the website that people are mentioning a lot? I will not be talking about everything regarding Jinteki.net. If you're interested in the history of the website, if you're interested in the development of it and all the features, there are many other resources like the site itself, and I will show you where to find this information more or less, but I will not be talking at length about it. I will not be talking about a bunch of other things. What I will be talking about, and this is the important part, is generally two things. The general layout and the interface of the site. So you'll see what the site looks like right now as of this streaming / recording, as in early May 2021. And, well, a general walkthrough of a game, how to start the game, how to play the game on both sides. And this is going to be a bit experimental, so apologies if this is not going to work straight away. I might be stumbling, I might be very slow, I might be also, well, taking my sweet time to do some things. So thank you for your patience with this, and apologies if something doesn't work. I tested things a bit, but well, we'll see how it works, okay? Bear with me, this is going to be quite nice, hopefully, and slow. If at any point I start speeding up and talking too fast, well, that probably means I'm running out of ideas. No, it's probably that, well, I just forgot what I was talking about, and I'm trying to make up for dead space or dead air, so to speak, on stream. But in general, I do have some things to say before I start walking you through this site. So first of all, the platform itself, Jinteki.net, I will refer to it probably a lot as JNet, not as Jinteki.net because it's kind of wordy. So JNet is my, and not Janet, it's JNet, J.net, but JNet is my pet name for the website. It is a work in progress. You could actually call it a living game platform. It is a work in progress. It is being developed actively, and you will see a lot of features that are new, even to me, some of them, even though I looked at the website, well, I've been looking at the website for quite a long time. So this material will probably be out of date with the next big batch of updates. And there are active developers working on the site and updating it, all the time, basically, making sure it works well and so on and so forth. But that said, most features have not been dramatically changing across time, and the general gameplay should more or less stay the same. For a lot of the features, or a lot of the game itself is not changing that drastically. So you will see the way the game works, and it should still be valid a while from now. And this is the fate of tutorials. This is the fate of explanations for platforms that are being actively updated and developed. They get outdated at some point, and then you have to re-record them or re-upload them in a new format. That said, of course, like I said, I'll do my best to mention things as we go through this and explain as much as I can to make it useful. Second of all, before we start, please, if you're watching it live or later, and chances are you will be watching it rather later than live, please clip the useful bits that you will find informative or you will find interesting. So at any point that you see on Twitch, I don't think you can clip on YouTube, but if you are watching this on Twitch, if you're watching the recording on Twitch, and there is a fragment where I actually say something interesting or useful, please clip it and give it a good, meaningful, or useful title. I will try to upload these clips separately. I might be doing some of the editing later on myself, but I do actually count a lot on people viewing this later to help me out with this bit, because the clipping feature on Twitch is quite useful. It helps a lot to capture interesting bits without having to go through a whole 1 hour long video or stream, and that could be helping people a lot. And I will be uploading the clips to the YouTube channel that I have, as well as an archive of those streams that I usually put through Twitch. So again, thank you for your help with this. It's been a long day. I'm gonna be stumbling, hopefully not too much with my words, but yeah, help me as much as you can with this. Clip the useful bits, and let's make these bits useful for the people who are going to hopefully be watching them later, trying to learn how Jinteki.net or JNet works for the basic game. If you're in the chat, if you're there, of course you can ask questions. If you're new to the game, if you're new to the platform itself, and you're watching this by any chance, and you're there in the chat, of course ask questions. I will be taking breaks to take a look at the chat and then answer these questions. And if I will need any opponents for a game or a test game to show people how things work, I might be asking for somebody to step up and contribute their test subject skills. But I will actually try and play a game against myself on 2 different accounts, just to pump my statistics on JNet, and just to have like bigger numbers on my Smurf accounts. I'm kidding, of course, but yeah, I will be attempting to play a game to walk you through certain interactions, to show you certain things. So what is going to be happening for the next, I don't know, hour maybe, without much of a script? I'm basically looking at 100 words here on the screen. I will be walking you through the general layout and the interface of the site, and then I will be showing you how to get into a game and play a game. Okay, so and again, this is a walkthrough as of early May 2021. Some of the things you will be seeing on the screen might be changing, might be evolving, might be developing into something bigger or better or faster. That is the nature of development when it comes to JNet and many other things. So do rely on some of the bits of this knowledge, but if you see at any moment when you interact with the website that you see something slightly different, do not panic, do not worry. This is just a feature that's being rolled out or tested. Probably, hopefully, something cool that's going to make the website and the service better for everybody. Okay, I'm just checking everything. Everything looks decent on my screen here. It seems to look decent. So let's just try and dig into this, okay? Without much of a script, but I'm going to be talking as slowly as I can, which, if you know me in person, it is a bit of a challenge, right? Anyway, so Jinteki.net, what is it, why does it exist, and what's the point? It's a website built by the community, and if you want to delve into the history of it, there are ways of doing this. You will see it in a second. But generally, this is the website where you can play test your decks for Netrunner online. And the way it works is if you visit genteki.net, you will probably end up on this page here. So this is the landing page. And what it greets you with is this chat. You see channels here. You will not see my cursor, but I'm going to try and use some specific, how should I call it? Maybe, well, what could they be? They could actually be showing, well, no, this display elements, maybe. I'm going to be using some display elements to show you stuff, hopefully, on the screen, if I can make it work. So wherever you're going to see a little red exclamation mark, this will probably mean that you should be paying attention. So I'm just going to try this now. Woohoo! Exclamation mark, hello there. And by the way, this exclamation mark is kindly adopted from the Nisei.net asset pack, visual asset pack. This is a thing that Nisei rolled out quite recently, and I'm adopting this interrupt symbol, which is visible on the cards themselves, some of those cards, as the way to attract your attention to certain parts of the screen. So right now on the screen you see this exclamation mark, and this is these are the channels that you can use to chat with different people. The general one usually will be showing you text in English. There's one for Americas, for Europe, Asia Pacific, and so on and so forth. Some of them are national, some of them are not, more language based. But anyway, here people chat, and if you've been around the community, you know that there's a bunch of different places where people actually hang out and chat. So I cannot really tell you how useful this chat can be for you, but do use it to communicate with people you're playing against. You can see the usernames here. It should be totally doable if you have an account. And this is the fun part. When you are on the landing page on JNet, on genteki.net, you see the tabs here on top that I'm going to again try and highlight using my amazing exclamation mark. So here in the top left corner of the screen, you should be seeing different options. We are on chat right now. It is slightly highlighted. And here is where you have the news of the development. So for example, we can see that the last update has been of the website on Tuesday, April 27th. There has been a version 81 rolling out with a bunch of different things happening and so on and so forth. And there's a bit of a history here. If you scroll down, there's quite a lot of stuff happening because a lot of people are putting a lot of good effort into making this resource, this tool, useful for the players in the community. So thanks to the genteki.net team, you know who you are, and you've been amazing for so many years. Okay, so the chat is generally there too. Well, guess what? Chat. Then you have the cards tab in the corner here, and I'm going to hide this little exclamation mark just for a second, just so that you get the full view of the page. Generally, cards is, you can treat it as an interactive binder, as an interactive album of the different cards available in the game. You will see, or you might see, that certain cards, for example, the illustrious Adonis campaign, they exist in many different iterations because of different releases, different variants, different packs, and so on and so forth. And you can, of course, scroll through these, and there's a ton of cards here. And you can keep going. It's going to be refreshing. A lot of great and amazing art over the years in this game. Whether it was Fantasy Flight Games, whether it was the community itself providing a lot of good stuff to look at here. You can search the cards. There are, of course, options to search it. You can sort it by different means. And I'm not going to go deeper into this because we're going to be focusing on the very basics of the site and the game. But there are many options for you to explore here. Do not worry, you will not break anything by choosing any of those options. So nothing is going to go wrong. You can switch the side here, for example, if you just want to see the runner cards. It might take a while for them to load, but they're all there as well. But generally, this is a good way to acquaint yourself with the visual side of the game, with the cards themselves, with a big format collection of images for those cards. What else is there? We have the deck builder tab here. I just sticked it on top, and this is another one of those things on top that you could be seeing when you look into the top left corner. So the deck builder, right now you will see that it's empty because I am not logged in. We're going to be logging in a second. But generally, when you create decks, where you import decks, when you start preparing to play games, this is where all the decks will be showing up. In an order, of course, depending on how you create them, how you edit them, when they were last updated. And you, again, will be able to filter them and so on and so forth. You will be able to organize your decks a bit. A lot of people who have been playing this game for a long time have heaps upon heaps of decks in here. You are not seeing any because, like I said already, I'm not logged in, and I will be using test accounts. I will not be using my own account for this, just to give you kind of the fresh player experience in this current view. We keep going with the Play tab. So now the Play tab, well, if you go here, it will ask you to log in. And you know what? We're gonna log in here, okay? So let me just click this. I'm gonna be actually using a pre-made account. It's called The Runner because, hey, I'm a cool person. I get all the cool accounts. And I just log in. What do you need to create an account, by the way? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Well, like any other, or like many other thing that might be happening online, you need an email address, you need the username, you need the password. These are the basics. And then generally you are set. You do have an account. Oh, hi there. Hi there, John. We actually have a developer in the chat. Well, anyway, unless I'm mistaken. But anyway, a good question in the deck builder. So, like I said, this is a live stream and I'm going to be chopping it up, or you will be helping me to chop it up into smaller bits. So there might be some redos, undos, and whatnot. The whole stream itself might be very chaotic, but I will try and record it slow enough for people to enjoy it later and edit as needed. So if you go to the deck build, if you go to the cards view, woohoo, in the cards view, one extra special feature that you may take advantage of is, instead of reading the card text in the image, because all of these images are basically scans and they do have rather legible text. In some cases might be a bit harder. For example, take a look here. We have the card called Architect, and on that Architect card, you see that the text is sideways because, well, guess what? If you look at the card in this perspective, this card was printed in that particular manner because it's an ice card. So you are absolutely able, of course, to res it horizontally as the corporation player. But maybe you want to see the text itself, the way it should be displayed in a legible way. If you click the card, the website will show you easily legible text, including all the information that is on the image itself, but in a slightly more legible format. You can actually copy paste from here, which is very useful for some things. But you see the information on the card, you see everything that is useful for you to know as a player using this. For example, in this ice card, we see the name of it, its faction, its influence cost, the cost to res, its strength, the type of the card, the subtypes, and all the text itself. You will not see flavor text, I believe. I'm trying to click it. Yeah, flavor text is not really that important for the game itself, but all the game important terms will be there, including erratas and whatnot. And you will see also the legality of the card, which is quite cool. So all the formats that you can play it in at the time of clicking the card, of course, you will be able to see when you click the card in the cards view. That is very useful if you want to really make sure that you understand what the text on the card says. For example, in certain promos and whatnot, in different cards that you might be browsing for your or perusing for your pleasure, this information could be very useful for you. And of course, for example, multiple copies of the same card, depending on their release date or release pack, will have the same text. So they do exist as the same entity or the same card on the rules layer, or the rules of the game state, of course. But in the physical release of Netrunner, they might be coming from different boxes, have different numbers and whatnot. Anyway, let's get back to the play tab, because this is where we've been before. So If you log in with an account, so you can see this here. If you log in with an account, you will be able to see a list of games happening, and you will see some tabs and some options. Generally, in JNet's interface, a lot of the options have this button format. And you can see it here with this golden yellowish rectangle with the white text. We have the new game option, we have the reload list, we have the load replay, and so on and so forth. So all these options here on the screen are clickable as you have an account and you are in the system, so to speak. You are logged in. If you're not logged in, you will not be seeing any games because, well, that's basically, well, I can actually show this to you. If I log out, there we go. You just see the login screen again, okay? So this is important to remember. Do create an account. And again, just to make sure, to sign up, you need an email, a username, a password. You need to confirm it. And then you just have to make sure that you confirm your account online, and you are able to enjoy Jinteki.net in its full form. So here we will have a list of games, and the different tabs here might be changing. It's all, like I already mentioned, work in progress, but generally they will show you different tabs. And when people, different formats of games or different approaches to the game, when people organize events online, when people want to play just for fun, they would be choosing different tabs for this. Usually casual is where the action is and where people play most of the games for fun, to test with friends. If you go to the competitive tab, excuse me, chances are people will be playing here because of a tournament or because of some sort of a bigger event happening, and all these games will be some of them might not be actually accessible to you as a spectator, but they're all happening for a reason. In the casual tab, same thing. You can scroll down, of course, if there are more games happening, and watching a game is always a great way of seeing how the game itself works, but you probably want to get your hands dirty, so to speak. You probably want to get busy with the game itself, and you want to, well, see how it works. So we're going to be getting there soon. But for now, let's keep going through the tabs just so that you know exactly what else is on this site. As a reminder, we are already logged in, so certain things look better, like the play page itself. It actually has content for us. If you go to the help tab, this is basically the place that will answer all your potential questions about the game, some questions about the platform, and so on and so forth. So if you have any questions and if you get lost, the help tab is where it's at. That said, of course, there are many aspects of the online community for the game that you might be already a part of or a member of. And if you're not, I strongly encourage you to join places like the Green Lever Clearance Discord server, like any other online community you can see. I know that there's a subreddit. I know that there are groups on Facebook. There are different communities organized on different Discord servers, regionally as well. So if you were introduced to this game by somebody, that person will most likely know where you can find more players, more people to help you out. And let me tell you that this is one of the friendliest gaming communities I've been a member of through all my life. So you can definitely count on people helping you out and teaching you a lot of the stuff or answering a lot of your questions, whether they are about the game, this platform, anything else. But for now, suffice to say that if you scroll down, you will find all the information here, and of course you can navigate those questions as well and their answers by clicking the headlines here, by clicking the headings. So for example, if I want to report a bug, hey, because things are broken, right? You can definitely click here and you can see this part here of the instructions explaining things to you and whatnot. So this might look a bit wordy and intimidating, but don't worry, the help page is there to help you out for very specific cases, and you might not be using it that much anyway. Okay, now the fun part, the settings. And this is where you probably will be spending some time in the beginning because you will probably be interested in Well, making sure that, for example, you have a cool avatar. Jinteki.net is using the gravatar.com system, so you can change your avatar there and it's going to be reflected here, this particular change. You are also able to change your email if you so prefer. You can set your pronouns, and we have quite a lot of things to choose from, quite a lot of options to choose from for pronouns, because guess what? We're a super inclusive, diverse community with people of all walks of life. And they are using different pronouns. We can also look at the language menu. I'm gonna stick to English, and I haven't used any other languages because guess what? Of all the languages listed here, well, good luck to me. I don't actually speak any of them. Well, apart from German, but that's a secret, so I will not be talking about me speaking German. Anyway, the language version here as well, if you choose to use a different language, that might be working better for you than English for me. Sounds, and this is a very important option here. Why am I saying this right now? Because you might be sound sensitive, your hearing might be sensitive, or you might want to actually make things extra loud to not miss anything. But there are certain gentle sounds in the game. There's also a very particular sound that you will not be hearing, or maybe, okay, I'm going to enable the game sounds. Because this way it's probably going to be a more realistic experience. But you can also set the volume. And that's very important sometimes when you want to make sure that you are hearing things at the right level. Scrolling down, we have layout options for the game table itself. It's on by default, the card stacking. You will see while I play the game how the card stacking works anyway. It's a very useful feature, helps a lot. Imagine if you were playing on a table. This is basically the table automatically putting the cards in a very neat pile for you, making sure that you don't lose track of them. And that, I wish I had card stacking on my playmat, on my physical playmat. However, that is not implemented yet. And then another quality of life feature, which is the runner layout. So the runner side of the table from the corp perspective. So if you're playing as the corp player, well, you can also choose this during the game, but generally you can decide here how it's shown top to bottom and whatnot, how the cards are grouped on the screen. There is the log width and the size of the window in general. So it's height and width to be set here in pixels, but you will be able to set it on the table itself. So do not worry about these values too much. They are there for science and people who know their pixels. Don't worry about it, you will be able to do it manually on the table itself. I will show you how later. Then the game board background. You've seen some graphics already here, of course, on the different pages, and you can choose this here. I think for this account I'm going to be using the root, and then for the other account, because I'm going to be running a double game because I'm such a talented player, I'm going to be using a different background just to make sure that you actually are well, able to see what's going on. I just have to save things here and make sure that the sounds don't explode in your ears or my ears. So yeah, you will be able to choose basically the backgrounds here as well for the play page or the game board itself. And that could be quite useful for you because, hey, guess what? You might want to change your playmat from time to time. So treat this or consider this your virtual playmat. And as a bonus later on, I'm going to show you how to, or maybe in a different video, but I will show you how to customize this a bit further and to make it a bit, I'm not going to say cooler because JNet is already cool, but a bit more yours, maybe a bit more customized. Card backs, again, this doesn't influence the game in any way whatsoever, but if you prefer one or the other type of the card backs to see, the backs of the cards with a particular graphic design, you can choose this here. The preview zoom, which is fairly important, and I would suggest you use card image over card text. But if you prefer the card text, you can choose this here, and this cannot be changed during the game, as much as I remember. Keeping zoom cards on screen, definitely worth leaving that on, ticked or on, this feature in particular. Game win and lose statistics. If you're interested in statistics, there's a special tab for that. We're going to jump in there in a second. The deck statistics as well, shown for your decks, how well your decks have performed or how well have you played with those decks, wins and losses and whatnot. Card images, you can enable high resolution images, which you probably should. And then alt arts, you can show alternate card arts. So what are the alt arts? Well, certain cards have been popular enough to get other artists or other people make alternative arts of them, and this is a thing widely known, of course, in the collectible card game or in custom card game worlds or communities. So here again, you might tick this or you might disable this. I'm going to disable this for now. You can block users if somebody is not nice to you and you don't want to play with them, although that has absolutely never ever happened to me in as many years as I've been using JNet. And you can create API keys if you're one of the developers doing some API related stuff. I'm not. This is above my pay grade. So let's just click this update profile. You should be refreshing your browser, so I'm going to be just pressing Control R here. There's a blink. Apologies for this. The options should be now saved. And let's just take a very, very quick look at the last two tabs in the top left corner before we move on. So I'm just going to very quickly remind you that we are looking at this part of the screen where the exclamation mark is showing up, hopefully. And let's take a look at stats. So stats are generally for the folks who like to look at numbers, and if you're playing Netrunner, you probably like to look at numbers, right? But generally, this is where you can see how your two sides performed, how many games you played, how many games you completed, and the percentage of wins and losses and whatnot. It will not be tracking your agenda points. It will not be tracking your flat lines, anything like that. You have to track yourself. So if you're a fan of statistics or in-depth statistics, all this information is available somewhere in the logs for Jinteki.net, but that requires a bit more digging. And there is an amazing website called knowthemeta.com where you can look into some of the information dug up by one of the community members. Greetings to Necro. But yeah, this is a different story for a different evening. For now, suffice to say that this is a page where you can check your basic statistics about your game performance. And also, if you decide to record a game, and I'm going to show you recording later on, a game replay, you will be able to access it from here. But for now, as you can see, I don't have any logs because guess what? This is a fresh account that I only used for testing certain things. So it doesn't really have much information. And just to make sure that this actually works on the other side as well, let me use my jigs. But yeah, I'm going to show you a different... Oh no, I'm not going to show this to you because that would be a bit confusing. But my other account is absolutely clean. There's no information there whatsoever. So yeah, maybe let's transition there actually. Let's take a quick look. So now you're seeing an account which is called the Corp for a change because I have a runner and a Corp account for testing. And as you can see here, there's no data whatsoever. So when you start, this is going to be clear. And okay, let's dig in. Let's take a look at the deck builder per chance, right? Let's take a look at the deck builder. So as you remember, and I'm just going to show this again, if you log off, there are no decks. If you log in, and I jump through here with my preset account, what you will see in the beginning are 4 decks, maybe more because I don't remember if I edited things on this account or not, but you will see the system gateway decks, and I will be playing the demo game against myself using the gateway decks. So fear not, you will not be exposed to any amazing cards that you may not know if you are a new player to the game and you are discovering it thanks to Gateway. And this tutorial, this walkthrough is going to be focusing on Gateway cards and interactions. And of course, given the nature of the game, there will be some random situations happening. I will not be able to script everything, but I will be showing you how the game works with your Gateway cards that you have by default in 2 flavors or on 2 levels. There are the starter decks, so the basic 30 card decks that have been pre-built by the Nisei designers, both for the runner and for the corp. And then there are the booster decks, which are basically fully legal 40 card decks and 44 card deck for the corp, of course. Fully legal for the system gateway format with extra cards, and you can see all the information here. So let's take a very, very quick look at the decks themselves. I'm not going to be walking you through card strategies or anything like that. This is not the video for this. I'm going to be telling you generally how the user interface here works. You can see your runner. If you highlight the card name here, you can actually see the identity in a zoom. So you can see the card the way it looks. You can of course see a miniature here on the side, but you can also see hovering over the name the card itself. You can see the number of cards in the deck. Very useful to see if your deck is legal or not legal. You can see the influence spent, and of course these are the starter decks. The influence doesn't really count. The legality of the deck, which is fairly important for you if you start getting into different formats. We're not going to be talking about this today as well. It's not the important part. The important part is this is a very quick, very good way of checking what formats this deck will be applicable to, what formats you can just say, hey, I can play this deck in that particular format. All the format information is available on Nisei's website at nisei.net, so you can browse it there and introduce yourself to the world of different formats available in Netrunner. We're going to be doing Gateway today just for the fun of it. And then you have a list, and that list of cards is organized by categories, by types. And in the case of the runner, you have events, hardware, programs, and resources. In the case of the corp, which is the syndicate in Gateway, you see agendas, assets, ICE, operations, and upgrades. Very useful information here as well if you are new to the game and you need strategy tips or hints or tricks on how to play this deck efficiently and what is it all about. There is information on Nisei's website for both of these sides, so for the runner and for the corp. That's an aside, of course, because again, we're going through jinteki.net today. We're not going to be learning how to play the game in general, but how to use this online platform to play it efficiently and digitally with your friends. So let's take a look at what happens when I hover over a particular card. Again, a particular card name gives me the image of the card itself. This is a very good way of reminding yourself what is in your deck, what does it do, and what not. Because in this deck builder view here, you will only see the card names, and then to know exactly what the card does, you do have to hover over the name and then see the updated view of the image hovering on the side here. So that's a good, very useful tool to just make sure that you can review any number of decks that you may have over here. And then an important thing for your future games or for your future adventures with Netrunner is making new decks or importing decks. And so I'm going to jump out for a tiny bit out of the Gateway universe, and I'm going to say, or out of the Gateway format, and I'm just going to say, well, you can create new corp decks or you can import decks. Importing a deck basically means you should be going to netrunnerdb.com. You should have a public deck there, or you should find a public deck there. And if you are browsing netrunnerdb.com, you should be able to import a deck. Let me see actually if I should be going there right now. Yeah, let's take a quick look, shall we? So, am I committing the terrible crime of a streamer? Yes, of course. So we are here, we are looking at the decks, and plenty of decks, but let's just take a quick look at any other deck. For example, we can go to, well, this deck in particular, right? It is a public deck because I can see it. We have a person here building, a player building decks with system gateway cards. Hello, Rory, by the way. Welcome to the game. Great to have you on board. And what happens here is that if I hover over here, you can see the URL. So if I copy the URL and I go back to the tab and I paste it here, what happens here, basically, the most important part is this number. I could be going for the whole URL, no problem in that whatsoever. But if I have this number and these numbers are unique to the database of DEX on Netrunner DB, and if I click import, if everything works okay, and it will, you will see a message here saying imported, and then guess what? We have Rory's deck here. So you can join the fun legion of people who are known as net deckers, but basically people who take decks from Netrunner DB and use them on Jinteki.net. And of course, some people would say that net deckers are the people who just use other people's decks, but hey, nobody has their name on a deck just yet. So anyway, jokes aside, netrunner.db.com is a very useful resource for building decks quickly of any format for the game. So use that website as much as you can. You can also build decks here. So I'm going to delete this deck. Goodbye, Wayland Consortium. We don't like you here. You can build decks using Jinteki.net itself. I would not recommend it because it could be a bit, well, it could take a bit more time if you're not used to the interface here. I would recommend building decks on netrunner.db, that website, that service. Why do I keep saying netrunner.db? Netrunnerdb.com. So netrunnerdb.com is the website that is meant as a deck building and deck collecting repository for you. But if you decide to build a new corp deck, I already clicked it without saying what I'm doing. You can go and click the new corp deck option here on top, or the new runner deck if you want to create a new runner deck, of course. And what happens then is you end up on this page, which, first of all, of course, you should give your deck a name. You should choose the format it's going to be played in, because that choice is going to decide on the legality of the cards you're adding. So if I go for Gateway, for example, the numbers are going to change. And straight out of the box, the website tells me that Acme Consulting is Gateway legal, and it's going to explain to you actually that Acme Consulting doesn't have enough cards in the deck here as well. But anyway, if you go to standard, again, not enough cards in the deck. So of course you will not be able to play with illegal decks, but you might be saving work in progress decks, incomplete decks, ideas for decks, and so on. Use this repository here as much as you can for different things. But again, I would recommend building on Netrunner DB. It's a bit more of a powerful deck building tool than Jinteki.net. And then just import the decks. But if you decide to build things here, well, you might have to type in some names. For example, choose a card, add it to the deck, and then you can see that you have the card itself here, the omnipresent hedge fund, of course, and you can choose the number of the hedge funds. You cannot go over 3. I don't know. That's a smart limitation here, right? I cannot put 10 hedge funds into my deck, unfortunately. But well, that's not a problem. I can always just do this, right? So you can hack the deck list field here. Hack, well, I didn't really hack. I totally just made a deck with 10 hedge funds, right? But anyway, you will be able to have a lot of fun with this builder here. Whatever you do, the important thing is, don't worry about the legality. The game will not let you play with illegal decks in a format that you choose to play. Do remember to save. This is the important part. So now my new deck, which is, according to the data I pulled approximately 25 seconds ago, new deck is the name for any corp or runner deck in 99.6% of the cases when people create decks. They just don't give names to decks. No, of course I'm kidding. But anyway, that's scientific information. I hope nobody will clip that. What happens here is we now have this deck saved. We can, again, get back to editing it and add new cards, remove cards. You can use these options here to move it around and whatnot. You can cancel if you want to cancel the changes so it all stays in place and whatnot. The features here should be fairly straightforward if you've ever used any editors where you can edit things and then save the changes and so on. there are no hidden features here, no hidden options. Everything should be quite easy to understand here. I'm going to delete this because I have to make sure that, again, I don't break the platform by using some weird 10 hedge fund decks. I'm just going to confirm the deletion and the deck is gone. You can, of course, delete those decks. I would not recommend it because, hey, maybe you want to play with them for fun and enjoy them for a bit longer. But you are able to do anything you want with your deck repository here, given the amount of decks that you have available, the slots you have for the decks. And by all means, just do. It's definitely going to help you become a better player and understand the game better if you play around with the cards before the game itself. I'm going to take a quick break to just drink something watery. Okay. So I have walked you through most of the important bits that make Jinteki.net the platform for you to try out if you want to play the game. And now it would be good to, well, start a game and see how things work in the game itself. So what I'm going to do right now is, I hope this is going to work out. It will be quite interesting, let me tell you. But anyway, let me just click a few things. Okay. So if you are in the deck builder view here, you should be able to straight away in the corner here, and I know that you can see my cursor on this. Oh no, actually on this screen you aren't. Oh yeah, you are able to see the cursor. But again, I'm just going to very quickly use the visual indicator that I painstakingly had to, hack together. But one feature that is something that I didn't really ever use, but it's there. It's in the top right corner here. There's a create game button. I think nobody ever created a game using this button, but I could be completely wrong. And if you're one of those people who have been using those buttons to create games, congratulations to you. You are a better user of this website, of this service than I am. Anyway, you could create game here, or you could go to the play tab. And then on the play tab itself, you might actually just want to use one of the features that are visible on top to the left of the screen. So when you look on the left, on top of the list, you have new game, reload list, and load replay. Load replay right now will do nothing because I don't have any replays handy, and we're not talking about replays. Replays are basically for reviewing other people's games or your own if you have saved the replays, and that's a totally different story for a totally different meeting as well. You might also want to watch a game, and chances are your friends, when they were introducing you to the game, maybe they played the demo game for you. You might choose any of the games that says watch. If a game doesn't say anything, most likely it's private, and depending on the settings of the game, you might be able to watch it, or you might be able to not watch it. If it says join, you might be joining somebody's game because that person has a free seat at their virtual table. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a game here, and we're going to be walking through this little menu here right now. And again, this is as of early May 2021. This set of features, or this set of options, could be changing, could be expanding. There could be some visual changes happening, but for now and in the foreseeable future, the features behind the new game menu should be more or less the same, or they should be quite self-explanatory. So when you click new game, what happens is you see this panel on the left side of the screen, on the right side of the screen, the other left, as we like to call it, where you can give the game a title. And if you're playing with somebody, well, by default, it says your username's game. So it kind of identifies your account name is going to be used in the title of this. So of course, I'm here as the corp, as you can see in the corner. but the Corpse game is not really a cool title, so I'm going to say demo game for the stream. And you can use all caps. Don't be like me. Don't actually use all caps. But yeah, you can choose the side. You can be the Corp or the runner. You will be choosing the decks later. This is the important part. You don't choose anything here. You just choose one of the radio options. And of course, being on the Corp account, I'm going to be playing as the Corp. On the runner side, I'm going to be showing you in a second how to join a game. You can choose the format. We're going to be going for System Gateway here, again, like I already mentioned. So this will automatically limit the decks from my deck builder to the ones that conform with this format, that are legal in this format. This is very important to remember, because maybe you have a deck that you are building and it's not legal for some reason. Maybe you have a deck that you imported and then you removed the card or two, and then it became illegal in this particular format. You made it legal for another format. Just make sure that your deck is format legal before you jump into a game and panic that you don't have this particular deck available. And again, I already mentioned this earlier. I'm just gonna remake it in a second. But to check your legality, you go to the deck builder tab, you look at the different decks that you have here, and you can hover. You see that this is System Gateway Legal here, and if you hover over the System Gateway Legal on the view panel here on the right side, you will see the legality of this deck. So it will only show up if I create a gateway game. If I create any other format like Startup or Standard or Classic, it will not be showing up. So yeah, let's get back to the Play tab. And as you can see, this actually saved things for me, which is quite cool. And this is another trick I'm going to show you in a second, which is very, but very, very useful if you don't want to have 15 tabs open, or if you don't have 7 different screens to check things. So that it will be a trick in a second. But okay, we call it demo game for the stream, or actually let's change it. We can also call it, if you're playing with a friend, you can just say test game for and the username. So we're going to be playing with the runner, which is my other account, and I'm going to be playing on the same computer in 2 different browsers. And that's the only way to make it work. If you want to hack the planet, I'm just going to be playing a test game. We have chosen the format. Additional options here. You can be allowing spectators, but guess what? I'm just going to turn this off because I don't want people to spectate my terrible game. Actually, no, I'm going to allow spectators. Who knows what's going to happen? This will mean that anybody will be able, who's logged in, anybody will be able to just click a button that says watch and just spectate your game. There is a chat window in the game, and that person will be able to use the chat window. So I would say allowing spectators, it's totally up to you, and it's good manners to not use the chat window unless you have been invited to the game, or as a spectator, or the people playing to say hi or something like this. But generally, when you're spectating other people's games, or when somebody spectates your game, chances are they will just be quiet unless you specifically ask them for something, or this is not a chatting platform, it's a gaming platform. So you're of course playing the game, and if you want to chat, there is a myriad of options, and I would suggest using Discord, for example, where you can just connect with voice, or any other platform that you prefer to communicate outside of the game, if you of course know your opponent. If you don't know your opponent, then the chat in the game will probably be your main option for chatting, and we're gonna get there in a second. Anyway, you will keep seeing, of course, things changing here because people create games and leave games and whatnot. But yeah, we're here on the spectators, so we'll be allowing spectators just to make sure that you see how this feature works. And then making players' hidden information visible to spectators. It's a bit wordy, but the important part here is that when you're playing this game 99.9% of the time on JNet or on Jinteki.net, this feature should be not turned on. So make sure that this is not turned on, because this generally makes your cards visible to everybody else. If you are a streamer, or if you're playing for fun, or if you're teaching somebody the game and you want to see, you want them to see what cards you're holding as the runner or the corp, well, basically any hidden information that in the course of a normal game of Netrunner, of a standard game of Netrunner, is hidden, do not tick this box because it's going to spoil your fun and other people's fun as well. If you're teaching people, if you're streaming for fun or what have you, yeah, you can totally tick this box. Password protected, that basically allows you to set a password. So you can still allow spectators and people can still be joining your game, but only if they know a password. And your opponent has the same limitation. They have to know the password in order to get in. So you know what? We're going to be cool. We're just going to use the password, which is 4 letters, and it says test. Don't tell anybody about this, okay? This is a secret. But yeah, the password itself will not be visible here. It's not Hunter2, in case you know that meme. But anyway, it is a password that is going to make your game, first of all, private. And second of all, well, password protected. So again, people who will be trying to watch your game will have to know the password. And then, without further ado, we're going to save replay. This is a very useful feature with this little green dot. What happens when you tick this? For now, nothing, but you will get this very helpful and useful tooltip that will explain to you what save replay does. And it's a feature that's fairly fresh to the platform itself, and it's very useful if you want to analyze your games without recording them on stream or without taking notes. This generally creates a save file that you can later download from your stats, and you can replay it using the same website, using the same interface, basically, and see what happened and analyze it and whatnot. And there's a ton of useful features in there. If you ever get to analyzing your own games on genteki.net, definitely useful to save that replay. We're going to leave it ticked for now because it's fun. But generally, everything is explained here. You have only the latest 15 unshared games will be kept. So yeah, that's very important. There is no endless repository for the replays. You might be able to share, to download them, of course. You are absolutely able to download them as text files to your computer, so you can save as many of them as you want on your computer, but on the system itself, only the last 15 unshared games will be kept, okay? If you share a game, it will be kept for longer. That's also important to know. But yeah, the important, super important thing about this particular very useful feature, if you want to analyze your games later on, is that it's in beta, so it might be changing, it might be reset, things might be happening to the replay information in the system. So make sure you download the games you want to keep, and I will be showing you later on how to download the games you want to keep. The feature might be changing. It's pretty much experimental. It's awesome, but well, if it goes away for some reason, do not worry, do not panic. The platform itself will still like you and you will still be able to play games. But for now, if you have replays, I would strongly recommend saving them to your computer. And we're going to be there later on to see how actually saving it works. And then you can allow the API access to game information, but you have to have an API key in the settings and so on. And if you're a developer, this actually doesn't even let me click it, which is good. If you're a developer, you probably know more about this than I do. This is a feature that you don't have to be worried about. You're a player like myself, you don't need to worry about this option at all. It doesn't do anything nefarious, it doesn't steal your hidden information, doesn't tell the runners where your agendas are, and so on and so forth, okay? So yeah, we are ready to create the game. We have a password, right? We have everything. We allow spectators in case somebody remembers the password. Haha, probably you don't. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to click create, and what this is going to do, it is going to create a virtual table. So here we are. You can see my game is here, and it is called Test Game for the Runner. It is private. It has this green dot, which reminds me that this is a saved game, that it has a save replay feature turned on. You can actually scroll down here. There's a chat. You can say, and this is very useful for quick chats with your opponents or with the spectators. You can see that there are 0 spectators here on this screen. And yeah, we're ready to select the deck. So the important thing before you can start the game, and I keep the handy visual indicator on this right side of the screen, is that you can also swap sides. So right now, whoever creates the table by default is, of course, the role they chose, the side they chose. So depending whether you choose Corpo Runner, you will be that side. If you created by mistake a table And right now, if you see me clicking select deck, you will see I only have corp decks to choose from. If that was a mistake, if I was actually going to play as the runner, I would be like, oh, no, I can click away from this, basically, anywhere else outside of the window. So again, select deck. I can load the deck and select it. Now it shows me, and this is the deck, and it's legal and so on. I can always click select deck and change it to a different deck. But if by accident I should actually be the runner on this, in this scenario, I would be clicking swap sides here. And then that resets my choice, and I still have to select the deck. Okay, so, and then I have the runner decks here. You can see them on the screen. I could actually be choosing from one of my runner decks. And that could be, of course, the case because, hey, well, you just by mistake created the runner game. You don't want to leave. You already have the table in a way and whatnot. You can always click leave and create a new table. But if you're lazy like myself, you're just going to click swap sides. Okay, so let's swap sides again. Let's go for the corp starter deck. Actually, you know what? Now let's go for the booster decks. We're going to be playing with booster decks straight away. Or a longer game because this is going to be a random game and I really have no idea what's going to happen. I'm going to try and pretend I don't know what my cards are. And with the booster deck, you will hopefully see more interactions. I'll try to make as many interactions happen in the game as possible to just show you the ways to use all the different prompts and features that might pop up. Okay, so we're going to be choosing the booster decks. And this is the view of the corp player here. Okay, so now you're going to be like, yeah, well, okay, but this is a game of Netrunner. And you can see that I could actually start it and go into the table myself, but that wouldn't be fun. If you want to basically do absolutely nothing in a game of Netrunner on Jinteki.net, rather, I mean, you could click and you could try and see how your deck draws cards and whatnot and play some of them. You could start a single player game, but that doesn't do anything useful whatsoever at this point for you if you want the full experience. So again, I strongly suggest to get an opponent. So what's going to happen with the opponent? Well, we're going to go to the opponent's window right now. So let's just very quickly slide away into the other part where I was already looking at my stats. But now let's go to the play tab. So you may have noticed that this is actually the runner's side. And just to make sure that you are aware of the runner's side, I should be showing you that I also have different colors of those interrupt symbols. So for the demo itself, I will be trying to talk slowly and remind you of what I'm actually doing right now. But just in case you get lost, look into the top right corner of the screen where you see now the exclamation mark on a bright background. And this is the username. You are now viewing the runner view. And if you remember, we also had the corp view, right? So I can just transition and you're going to see a change now. And this is the corp view. They're going to be more or less identical. The background is going to be changing as well. And I'm going to be showing this to you in a second as well, because I chose different settings for both of these accounts. But yeah, what happens right now? So you see the corp. I am the corp player here in this case, and I'm waiting for my opponents. And I see people creating games and so on and so forth. And maybe you will have to wait a bit, okay? Like, do not worry, especially if you create a new game at a time that, you know, might be not the peak time for the community to be on. Right now, there are 42 games on, including my own, which is a cool number. So yeah, you will be able to see that there are 35 games actually on. This is here in the stats. I'm wondering if I can highlight this without breaking the universe. Yeah, let me just transition to, oh yeah, this is on the runner side, sorry. So again, I'm still practicing this here. Yeah, because I have a few too many windows here. But okay, you can see that on the casual tab, for example, here in the top, you have, oh, I should be using my magical pointers, right? They're very, very practical for this. So again, just to make sure that you see this, in the central left side of the screen, you do see those 3 tabs that you can actually switch around. But yeah, there are open spaces and there are full tables. The dots mean tables with both players already playing and doing things. And the empty dots, or the 3 empties here on the casual, means that there's basically 3 places available, or 3 tables with a space available for a player. So yeah, we should totally take a seat, right, as the runner, and that we should do. So let me just switch to the runner view, and let me show you how this is done on the runner side of things. So hopping over to the runner side of things, and this is the view of the runner account, or of my other account, and you can see that, you know, I can, for example, join and watch Norpule 3000's game, but I don't know Norpule. But hey, there's my friend the Corp, and I'm the runner. So guess what? This person unfortunately hasn't played enough games, so there's very little data. If I hover over the username here, yeah, too little data, so we don't know how many games the Corp has finished. But if you hover over other users, you can see their game completion rate. You can also see the site they chose. So for example, this game is private here. I don't see what the Corp chose because it's private, and I haven't inputted the password just yet. But I know the password, of course, because hey, we're friends, right? With my other account. But other players, if you hover over them, some of them will have information. Some of the accounts, if they're new, for example, like these two players here, they have too little data. What is this information useful for? Historically speaking, it's just good to know that a person completes, you know, most of their games, and 90+% is always good. Why would a person not complete their game? Well, it's a community thing, so to speak, but sometimes people get disconnected for technical reasons. Sometimes people just don't finish a game because they leave the table, and I wouldn't say you will have a bad experience, but you know, if you're into numbers, you can, for example, see that Break One Barrier has a game completion rate of 98, Claim 97, so both players have finished most of their games, and that bodes well if you want to play a full game with somebody. And like I already said, this can be happening, the incomplete games might be happening because of technical issues, because somebody had to run out, because an emergency happened, because they just got angry and left. And this is not in any meaningful way a measure of the player's ability or character or anything else, but it's just an indicator, and it might be going away at some point in the future or not. It's not really that important for your enjoyment of the platform. Just make sure that you choose an opponent, and we have here this feature where I'm going to show you how this works. If I click watch, I do have to input the password, so I'm going to do this. And then you hear the double sounds because I have two browsers open, okay? I might be muting one of the browsers just to make sure that there's no double sounds, or maybe I'm going to leave them both on just to drive you up the wall. But anyway, you can see here in the log that it says that the runner joined the game as a spectator. And you can see the chat that I put in earlier on as the Corp. And hey, guess what? If I actually go to the Corp window, which I'm not going to be showing you right now, but I can say, so this is me typing the information here. And hey, you can actually chat, right? So the other person on their computer can be saying, and that should be showing up in the window, right? So you will be able to chat here with your opponent, and very often chatting on JNet happens using text. So don't get discouraged if you don't have any audio, if you don't have any microphones available or anything like that. Discord is not a requirement to play the game, okay? You can always jump in and use the chat, and you should, because it's a very useful tool for saying, for example, things like, I'm thinking, when you need some more time and whatnot. So anyway, I joined here as the spectator, but hey, guess what? I don't want to spectate, right? I want to play a game against my opponent. So I'm just going to leave. And I'm going to click the join button. And the important thing about the join button is that this is the button that is going to get you into the game with the seat reserved for you as the player. So now, as you can see, I highlighted here on the screen the join button with the big exclamation mark. And this is the button you're going to be using to join games as a player. So I'm just going to jump in as the runner here, because guess what? My friend the Corp made the runner game. Made the game for the runner and a game of Netrunner. It should be called Corp Runner because you have the Corp and the runner, right? So or Runner Corp. but well, anyway. I'm going to click join. And because I input already the password earlier on, the game remembered this, right? Because of cookies and cache and all that cool stuff. If I had not input the password before to this password protected game, I would have to input the password. If I refresh the browser or anything like that, I would have to input the password again. But what's happening right now on the runner side of things? Well, we're still waiting for the player's deck selection. You can see this here on the screen. So this part is just highlighting that on the right side on the view panel here, that you still have to choose your deck. And you can see your opponent's deck. You can see the legality. It does say System Gateway Legal, which is important for me because, hey, guess what? I want to be playing on the same... Oh, excuse me. The highlighting here works a bit wonky on my computer, but this is just my computer's fault. I want to be playing the same format or the same level of complexity of decks, right? So I want to choose a gateway deck as well. And yeah, I do have the choice between a starter deck and a booster deck, but I already mentioned that we're going to be playing booster deck. So I'm going to do this. And now you can see that my only option here as the runner is, well, I can still, of course, leave the table if I decide to not play the game, but I shouldn't be leaving because that's kind of rude, right? I should be playing against my opponent. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to, again, hop over to the corp view of things, and you can see that both players have selected their decks. Everything is ready to be played. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start the game. I'm going to press the start button here on top, and that button is going to initiate the game interface, so to speak. It's going to create this virtual table. It's going to let me... oh, whoops. I totally chose the wrong view here. Excuse me. Those things happen, huh? Just a sec. Yeah, here we go. So I'm just trying to highlight this for your viewing pleasure later on. This is probably the chillest video I have ever made, or the chillest stream I have ever made. I'm just totally not rushing here, right? So now you see in the top, I have the option to actually click start, okay? And this is very good because, hey, guess what? I should be clicking start at some point because we should be starting the game. If I decide to swap sides, I would be resetting the player's deck choices and whatnot, and that might still happen. I might still, choose to, hey, actually, you know what? Let's swap. I'm going to be runner, you're going to be corp. But we decide to start the game, and I'm just going to click start. And this is the corpse view, so what you're going to see right now is going to be the corpse view of the table. And of course, in a regular game of Netrunner, all the information on the corpse side and the runner side will be handled and shown appropriately. So this is the disclaimer. You will be seeing both sides of the game in a way as if you would be either the corp or the runner, depending on where we're going to be on the tables, right? But, and I will try and pretend that I'm playing the best possible options for either side, right? Kind of guessing what the other person is doing. But this is not going to be a lesson of the game itself. We're just going to be using the platform to show you how it works. So I'm pressing start right now. Let's see what happens. So the table has initiated, and you can see that we are in the draw screen here right now. So this might be a bit intimidating, but generally what happens right now is you have, well, first of all, and again, I should be using, oh, you know what? We have Princess Space Kitten on the screen, so I think we should be going for a different color here, right? Totally. I should be totes using a different color. So let's just draw your attention for a second to the middle of the screen, where you have this pop-up. So all this super complicated stuff here that just showed up on the screen is the game interface, the way it looks on the virtual table, okay? So the important part here is you have both IDs visible on the table in the middle. You can see what they are, you can highlight them. You have the usernames, you have the corp and the runner. So you have your username and the username of your opponent. You have your starting hand. And this is a very important piece of information. You can also see your starting hand in the bottom corner here. Sorry for all the hovering effects, but I'm basically highlighting the cards. What happens, if you can see my cursor, is that if I hover over any of those cards, because they might be hard to read, they will be showing up on the side of the screen. So you can see every single card in actually bigger, more glorious, but still 2D graphics appearing on the side. And this is the important part for you, because you will be seeing a lot of very small cards on the table, and you will be probably at some point able to recognize what they do and what they are just by the images alone. But in the beginning of the game, you might be relying a lot on the zoomed in versions, and that's absolutely okay. Take your time when you're playing. Your opponents will understand. You can always write in the chat that you're thinking or taking your time. Not a problem at all. Do take your time to make sure you are doing the right thing with the right card for the right reason. That's the general thing about a card game, just like Netrunner is one of those. And I wish I kept I kept a bit more I stuck a bit more to that rule, and I kept my head a bit more level when I'm playing this game. But anyway, personal things aside, we're going back to the table itself. So in the middle, you see your ID, the Corp ID, which is the Syndicate in this case, and your opponent's ID, the Catalyst. Sometimes when there are quotes for different IDs, you will see a fancy quote, and that's when it's useful to click between those IDs, because those different IDs might be saying things to each other. In the game world and the lore of the game universe, those different identities, those different personas or corporations might be providing some extra flavor text. In this case, we have this lovely message saying no quote, sorry. That happens. Hopefully that's gonna get fixed, because I'm pretty sure the Syndicate will have something to say to the Catalyst, and also vice versa. Right now, of course, we have the flavor text, which is never a bad idea also to, get into the game a bit more, but we're talking about the mechanics today, so let me just jump in deeper. You have your hand here as the Corp. You can see that I drew 2 agendas in my first hand, and some operations and 2 assets. An operation and 2 assets. And you have 2 options, of course, and I will not be talking too much about how the game is played, but how it's reflected in the interface, how all the different options or the features or the plays that you have in real life Netrunner when you're sitting at a table with your friend playing this game, how they are reflected in the game. So of course, when you draw your first hand, you can either keep or mulligan. Be please very careful when using those buttons, because they don't have any confirmation. Okay, so when you decide to keep, that's it. When you decide to mulligan, that's it. Do not hover over these options to decide. Hover over the cards to see the text in the zoom, and then when you are absolutely 1,000,000,000% sure that this is the option you want to go for, choose it. Okay, that's the important bit. So let's say I want to mulligan this because 2 agendas, right? I mean, I don't want 2 agendas. So I'm going to mulligan. Oh, by the way, I should be showing you the view from the runner side, right? Yeah. So if you're on the other side of things, well, then you're going to see your hand at the very same time. Oh yeah, the big thing here shouldn't be showing up, right? The exclamation mark could be quickly deleted. But anyway, in the middle of the screen, you're going to be seeing the same thing. You will be seeing your hand. You don't have the option to decide whether to keep or mulligan available just yet, because guess what? The Corp hasn't chosen yet. And you see this message here saying, waiting for Corp to keep hand or mulligan. Okay? So that information here on the side of the screen will be telling you an important piece of information, what your opponent is doing, or what the game is, what stage the game is at, what you're looking at. So again, I'm highlighting this right now on the screen, but that area saying right now, waiting for Corp to keep hand or mulligan, is going to be informing you what's going on in the game, okay? So yeah, you can review your hand, and both players are reviewing their hands at the same time, more or less, and then, well, you will be deciding what to do with it. But yeah, we're going back to the Corp, and yeah, let's decide whether we're keeping this or not. We're not keeping this, we're mulliganing this. So what happens when I mulligan? I can mulligan it here, or I can mulligan it on the side. You have the option in the middle, in the center of the screen, and you have the option on the side. They're both working exactly the same way. Whichever you choose is going to do exactly the same. That's important to remember as well. Since we decide to mulligan, I'm going to press mulligan. Now the cards will, of course, be redrawn. There might take a while to load just because I'm special or my computer is not working well, but don't worry about this. And you can see your new draw, and then you have this big message here saying mulligan, right? And this is fairly important because now we're going to jump to the runner side in a second, and you're going to see that this situation, of course, in real time, it's going to be reflecting much faster or changing much faster. But yeah, you can see that the corp has mulligan on the runner screen, right? So that means that I have some information, right? And I can make my own choices now. And of course, in a game of Netrunner, a mulligan can mean so many different things already. So I have to take a look at my hand and just say, oh, I have a Mayfly, I have an Overclock, I have Cleaver, I have, well, maybe I need more money, right? So I'm going to mulligan as well. I need more draw or more money because there are some some options on the hand, but well, anyway, I'm going to mulligan as well. And an important thing happening here is all the actions that the players are taking are showing in here, okay? I kind of dropped you into this mulliganing straight away just to show you that the game is ready to be played any moment you want. It just takes a couple of button presses. But now what is happening right now is generally, well, it's generally the corp's turn to start the game, and you can also start the game as the runner. You can press the button to start the game, of course. But it is generally, we're ready to play, and what is going to be important for you to remember is that a lot of the information, or basically the flow of the game, all of it is going to be happening on this little panel here. So what I'm going to just do is I'm going to click start the game so that the window disappears, okay? And on the corp side, this is actually still visible. So again, I'm just going to very quickly show you that the corp itself can still be on the start the game window without any problems to the runner, because the runner just said, hey, I'm ready to go, and you know, I shuffled my cards. Whereas the corp still has the screen available, right? So I can still look at my bigger cards here or my smaller cards in the corner. I'm going to press start game as well. And the important bit that I wanted to make sure I tell you about one more time, because this is probably the most viewed part of the screen for a lot of the game time, other than, of course, the whole rest of the screen itself. But this log window here in the bottom right corner, this log window is where you will be seeing a lot of information pop up. You will also be able to continue the chat you started earlier on. So you're going to say, for example, let's go. You can also use indicate action as a button, which is at the bottom here. Or you can just say, oops, and whatever you mistype will be mistyped, by the way, right? So that will be, of course, appearing here. And of course, if you're the runner, you can respond and whatnot. But in this chat window, also all the game actions are going to be narrated, so to speak. So you can see, well, the runner left the game, then the runner joined the game. This was still happening in the lobby. And that little line means, okay, we're in the game right now, and now we have the mulligans. So you can see that both sides took a mulligan, right? And all the narration in the game in this log window is happening by means of the usernames and then the description, a full kind of a sentence description saying what is going on. And you will see more of these popping up in this log window, and that is a very, very useful tool to follow. You can scroll it up and down and see what is going on or what has happened in the game. One other very important part of this side of the screen, of the right side of the screen, is the highlight option. I already mentioned it, or the zoom option. I already mentioned it. If you hover over, for example, your corp ID here as the corp player, you will see it zoomed in the top right corner. Same for every single card in your hand. You will not be able to see the cards in your deck. Well, you might be, because if you click your deck, and again, I should be hovering around this to show you what's going on here. So if we move over to your table side, so to speak. Your table side, or the side of the table you're playing at, is always at the bottom, by the way, and your opponent is always on top. Okay, so here the Princess Space Kitten, maybe I made a bit of a mistake by giving you Princess Space Kitten on the corpse side, but hey, it's a tribute. This is only a tribute. So on the runner side, if I hop over to the runner side now, and you will see the runner side itself with the beanstalk in the background, you will see the runner side at the bottom and the corpse side on top, and you will be able to see again the view and whatnot of the zoomed card and so on and so forth, and the chat there as well. But again, let's go back to the corpse side, just to tell you about a certain thing that you should not be doing 99.9% of the time, unless the game is over already, or unless something very bad happens and you have to fix things, but usually it won't be happening. Okay, so if you click on your deck, you see the option to shuffle and the option to show. If I totally, absolutely ingeniously obscuring these options right now. So let me retract that. Okay, I'm removing this, but you can see the option to shuffle and the option to show. And those two options you will not be using at all during the game, unless something terrible happens and you have to do things manually. The show option, basically that's ending the game for you, because the corp should never be able to see its R&D like this, you know, to see all the cards in R&D. So I won't be looking at it right now. I will show you how to use this later on. At the end of the game, if you want to see when they finish the game and you want to see what was coming up in your deck or what cards were left because you don't remember, this is when you should be using this feature. Or if at any point in the game you have to shuffle the deck because there were some mistakes made and you have to fix them manually because the game shuffles the cards itself, you could be using this feature of shuffling. But other than that, you will not be clicking on here at all. Just leave it to other people to tell you don't click it, because yeah, they will, and you should not. Okay, so what are the other important features on the screen right now? I'm going to be trying to walk you through it as we go here. So probably the most clicked region of the page, like I already mentioned, on the right side you have the most viewed region of the page. Your eyes are going to be going to the right of the screen quite a lot to see the different cards, to make sure that you know what's going on in the game with the log and so on. And by the way, you can drag and drop things, make them bigger and smaller. And this highlight is just going to show you, like if you drag the side of the chat, you're setting the width, and then the preview of the cards is also going to change the size. So that's very useful if you want to go bigger or smaller. Same for making the cards or the log, bigger or smaller using this. You could even combine these for a special effect of having big cards. It's super awesome, right? I mean, look at the catalyst, huge. But anyway, that's not the thing. I'm just going to make sure that the log is visible to you and that the card zoom in is big enough in case we're going to be going into certain interactions here. But other than that, this is not the important part. The important part is right now on the left side of the screen, where you have the exclamation mark here, where you see the start turn option, which is, guess what, starting the turn of the corp, and then purging, trashing issues, and so on. So all these options here will be changing. This is a dynamic menu, and they will be showing you what is exactly going on in the game, what are your options, and you will be clicking those buttons very often here to see what's going on. What are the other useful features on the screen? On the leftmost side of the screen, which is also useful. Every single bit of information on the screen here is useful. You will see the panels for both players, and you will see how many clicks they have left, how many credits they have, how much memory the runner has unused, and so on and so forth. So starting from top to bottom here, I'm going to be highlighting this. That might look a bit awkward, but basically all this information here is for the runner on top, because this is your opponent. So all your opponent's information is on top, including their scored area, which will show you how many cards they have in there and how many agenda points those cards are. And then your information as the corp. You are able to see exactly the corp relevant information here. Funny thing is, you can actually add manually agenda points, but you shouldn't, right? Because, first of all, you don't deserve that. You have to score your agenda points. Second of all the changes you do manually using those particular counters or those particular options on the screen, they will be reflected, and this is public information. All the information in the log is public information. Most of the information in the log is public information, because sometimes you will see information only for you. But things like changing manually agenda points, or you can do the same with clicks, for example. All of this information will be reflected in the log. So this is good for both players to know what's going on, that there's no cheating happening. And also it does help you sometimes fix a situation where you forgot something or the game didn't trigger, because many cards are automated. Some of them are not. In Gateway, everything should be happening automatically, so don't worry about this too much. And if something untoward happens, I will explain things to you. This is an advanced way of managing the game, and we're going to be talking about this at the very end. But for now, because we are the corp, well, I should probably get into my CEO chair. So I'm just going to press a few buttons and take a bit of a breather. Maybe hear some noises in the background. Apologies for this. But I'm basically going into my corp setup when I'm going to be comfortably sitting in my CEO chair. I'm not going to be changing the setup between the players, just making sure. But anyway, as the core player, I'm going to be starting the turn right now, and then the game is going to become fully interactive. What are the other things on the screen, though, you might be asking, right? Because, hey, Vesper, you're not telling us what are the other things on the screen. Well, of course, you have both sides reflected of the game itself. So you can see your hand public, or you have the public view of your own hand. You can, sorry, why am I saying public? You see your own cards and you don't see your opponent's cards. That's what I'm trying to say here in a very convoluted way. So your cards are always at the bottom of the screen, and they are visible to you in your HQ, because we're playing the corp here right now. And all your information is visible. All your secret information is visible only to you. All your public information, like the number of credits, the number of clicks, and so on, is visible to everybody, of course. The panels, the text panels on the left are visible to everybody, as you've seen already. The cards themselves are basically hidden to your opponent from their view. And if you look at the situation on the corp side here, when I switch to the runner view, you can clearly see that, yeah, I know that the corp has 5 cards in HQ, but that's about it. I don't know what they are. And again, the corp has the same view of ignorance on the runner side. So you don't have to worry that your opponent can see stuff that they shouldn't. Of course, if you chose the option at the starting of the table to make both players' information visible, that will be visible. And then you can, for example, play open hands and joke about things, or go for different plays. Or it's great for testing. It's great for teaching people how to play the game, initially at least. And then for the real deal, of course, you make the information secret because it's more fun. But yeah, if you're just showing the game to somebody, it's great. Okay, let's keep going then. So we are on the corp side. Princess Space Kitten is blowing the big cyber tube, producing cyber confetti. We're going to start the turn. What's going to happen at the start of the turn is several things automatically. So, oh yeah, sorry. Just let me make sure that I'm doing the right thing here. And I'm just going to be, by default, I'm going to be, yeah. Okay, cool. So let's start the turn. There would usually be sounds, but I decided to mute this one. There will be some sounds. You can turn the sounds off in the menu. And actually, yeah, we should be talking about this. While we're on the table here, I could still be going to the other tabs. So I could be changing to the chat tab, but don't forget yourself in here, okay? Because you actually have a table going on. I could be viewing the cards. I could be reminding myself, and I think this is a very useful thing. I could be reminding myself of what is in my deck. And I can see all my decks here. Of course, I can go just for, hey, I'm actually the core player here. I want to see my booster deck. And I can still be highlighting things and so on and so forth, editing things and so on. The thing is, when you're playing a deck, it is the deck that's already loaded onto the table, so you cannot really cheat with this, huh? And don't try, because it's a bit of a silly situation. But if I click the play tab, I will go back to my table and I should be playing the game, right? All the other tabs that you see here, of course, on top are available. I could also concede. I should totally let you know about this as well. If I decide to, you know, give up and whatnot, I could completely decide to concede or just leave the game, but you shouldn't. I could mute the spectators, and this is an important thing. You can just say, hey, spectators muted, so I don't want people to talk. And it's an important feature to remember if you don't want people to use the chat windows, okay, for you. So we're going to be unmuting them, but it's there for you to use. Stacking cards is going to be useful in a second, and I'm going to be showing you later how it works. Rig layout, same thing. The number of games doesn't involve you. The corp can still, of course, look into their settings or jack out. But yeah, settings are basically this page. But by all means, do not change the settings here and update the profile and then refresh the browser, because that will be kicking you out of the game. You can reconnect with the game. You can reconnect with the table or reconnect to the table you left. And it's a great feature to have, but just to not confuse your opponent, watch out with this, okay? This is maybe a higher level aside, but anyway. The important things are going to be happening on the table right here, right now. So we're sitting at this table and we have our turn. What happened is, and you can see this in the chat here, is that the game log just said, hey, guess what? We started the game. And yeah, the corp started the turn with, well, the corp started turn number something with a certain number of credits and a certain number of cards in the HQ. And this is important information for you. It's very useful if you want to review what's going on, if you want to review what happened, if you want to, you know, say, hey, wait a minute, you started the turn with how many credits? Because you used some clicks and now what happened? Everything will be in this log here. So bear that in mind. And yeah, let's just make sure that you do keep in mind that in this interface, a lot of dynamic things will be happening in many different places of the screen. We will be playing cards onto the table. The log will be continuously updated with information. The game state will be changing. The board state will be changing. So the hand sizes and whatnot. I mean, cards will be moved around and whatnot. And in a physical game, it is quite a task to keep up, to maintain things, you know, to just make sure that things are working. On JNet, on Jinteki.net, it is very helpful that a lot of these cards are doing things automatically for you. And I'm just going to be highlighting, you know, cards for you. Like, if I play this card, it's just going to automatically spend the click and spend the credits. I don't have to do any of the upkeep I would usually do with tokens. I will not be moving those cards around myself. I will be just clicking those cards. Installing eyes will also be, you know, automated in a way. So you will see all the different types of cards being played onto the table, and all the different interactions will be visible to you. And I will probably have to jump around windows, but for now, actually, this is going to be a test. Let's just see if I change the setting here, will it actually change to something? Let's just see. Oh yeah, it did change to the root. Okay, so let's just be fair. Let's change. I never did this in real time, to be honest. Let's change the runner to. Oh yeah. Let's change the runner to push your luck, because this is the most runner image you can have as a background. Sorry for this technical thing here. But yeah. Okay. So if I want to start as a corp, I have my cards here. As you can see, I have some options highlighted here as well that I can use. So the important bits, again, to remember in this particular menu are that I can purge virus counters. However, there are no virus counters on the board right now. The runner doesn't have any cards. I can draw a card, and drawing is done with this basic this basic action card option for the corp and the runner is done through this button here. You shouldn't be drawing in any other way. Okay, so clicking draw is going to draw your card. Clicking gain credit is going to spend the click and draw and gain a credit. Clicking draw is going to spend the click and draw your card. So important to remember that you Shouldn't be doing things by mistake. But hey, guess what? If I say, okay, I have 6 cards, I gain a credit. So now I gain a credit here. It is reflected in the log. And I'm just like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't want to. A very important thing that you can do is use a command that you might be using a bit often, and don't worry about it. A special command which you start by putting a backslash in. I never remember which one is this, but no, this is a slash. So putting a slash in, and then some things will pop up here, and you shouldn't worry about this menu. It's not scalable. You can choose some things and whatnot, and they are quite cool. But basically, you can click undo click here at the bottom, or you can just type it in. I'm going to be very hacky, and I'm going to just type in undo click. The window on the side is going to verify that this command actually works. Okay, so if I hit enter, what happens here, and this is very important to notice if you're playing the game, from scratch on JNet, and you are like, ooh, I've never actually seen this happen anywhere else. It's important to know what's going to happen here. In the log here on the side, you have the information with the exclamation mark. So this is telling you that this is a kind of a meta event. It's not in the game itself. It's happening to the game's engine, to Genteki.net, to the table. You're manipulating the game state using custom commands. So it says which side, the corp uses the undo click command, and then it says that the player, the corp, uses the command undo click. What happened is, and you can see this hopefully clearly on the side of the screen right now here on the left hand side, is I have 3 clicks again and 5 credits. So that gain credit was reverted. And the same thing can happen with cards. And I will probably just undo something later on just to show you how it undoes cards. So let's just for example play Funhouse by clicking the card. So I just click the card, and when I click the card, there is a hover menu over it that allows me to choose, well, because it's an ice, it allows me to choose a server I want to install it in. So it's going for the ice cards, it's going for the default action, the only action I usually can do with ice cards from my hand if I want to use the basic action card, right? Which is installing an ice. And for both Diviner in this case and Funhouse, I can choose where I want to install it. So let's say I click Funhouse and I say, oh yeah, well, Funhouse is cool and I'm playing against the Catalyst and I have agendas in my hand, but I shouldn't be saying this on the stream, right? Or I shouldn't be saying this to my opponent. So I want to install Funhouse on HQ. Oh, well, actually, no, that was a mistake. You may have heard the sound of installation, by the way. And that was a mistake. I'm totally going to undo this. So again, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say sorry. I mean, I can say sorry, misclick, because those, oh no, not misclick, misclick. My opponent's gonna see this, and then I'm gonna say undo click. And again, I revert the situation to an earlier state of the game, and that's perfectly okay. Your opponent will see what happened, and I can prove this to you by going to the runner side again very quickly. I changed the image, by the way. Apologies for confusing you, but this is the runner side now. So the runner side is a different playmat, and now I can see again everything in the log, right? So what my opponent was using, all the commands, all the stuff, it is visible to me in the log on the side here. So I'm going to highlight it for you so you can see it. And that is a brilliant way, again, to keep track of the game in case you get lost, or if you want to see what happened in the past, right? Okay, but this aside, it's still the corpse turn, so we're going to go back to the corpse view. And we're going to actually play a turn of Netrunner, okay? Let's not dawdle. So, I have some ice, I have some assets, I have some operations. Well, how about, I cannot play Public Trail, by the way, because the runner did not make a successful run during their last turn, right? That's how the card works. That's their prerequisite. And you may notice here that certain cards have this golden highlight, and certain cards don't. And that means that all the highlighted cards I can actually play right now because they are legal to play. Public Trail, I just can't. I have the money, but I don't have the prerequisite of the runner making a successful run during their last turn. So I will be installing ice where I want to put it, right? Okay, so I'm going to go HQ. I just choose HQ here. I'm going to go R&D. I don't have a hedge fund because I'm a terrible player, so I'm just going to gain a credit, right? Or maybe I should draw a card. Let's draw a card. Okay. As you can see, this took a while here, and this might be taking the refreshing of the card, the Palisade. It might take a while if you have never used Jinteki before, so be patient because there is a lot of information being downloaded in the background, which is the card images, and they have to be cached, of course, and whatnot. So for a faster for a faster operation of the website. So for a faster working website, yeah. So be patient with this. It shouldn't be super long or anything, but sometimes it might just take a while, especially if you're playing on Wi-Fi or on a on an older machine or something. It might take a while. But yeah, basically that was my corp turn, and now the only option I have is to end the turn. So well, guess what? I'm going to click end the turn. And by the way, again, just to make sure that you see what's happening here, the runner is of course seeing their side of the table with the things happening, right? So the ice is installed and whatnot. But yeah, let me just go back to the corp side of things and show you that I'm going to press the end turn button. And that means my turn is ending, and in the log window, after all these pieces of information about my actions, it says the corp, being the player of course, is ending their turn 1 with a certain number of credits and a certain number of cards in HQ. And we have the line which is just highlighting that this is the end of my turn, right? So right now what happens is we're gonna hop over to the runner view, and I'm gonna switch windows again. And now as the runner, I have the option to start the turn, and the runner side of the table is basically the same, of course, with this game being asymmetrical. I will be performing slightly different actions, and you can see the options here as well that they differ. Of course, start turn is the same, and I'm gonna click this to start the turn. As you can see in the log on the side here, generally what is happening is the game, the system telling me that yeah, there was a turn ending by my opponent, and I'm starting the turn right now with a certain number of credits and a certain number of cards in my grip. Okay, so this is of course telling you that the game in the log keeps mostly a neutral approach, so it just kind of narrates the game on the side. Sometimes it will show you some information only for you, but still. For now, this is basically us sweating with our cards because the corp installed 2 pieces of ice and I don't see what they are. I'm trying, I should have actually enabled the cursor here. Wait a second, maybe I should be able to capture the cursor in the scene. Let me just very, very quickly try and figure out if this is going to be capturing the cursor. It might be a bit wonky, but yeah, I just want to show you that. Yeah, now you can see this very little green hand floating around there. But oh, I can of course use my teaching aids, and this is an important thing to show you. When I am the runner and when I see the corpse cards here that are secret information, I don't see them. I cannot really see what they are, right? I can click them, I cannot really interact with them, they do nothing. I just know that there are 2 pieces of ice. And of course, in real physical Netrunner, you'd be able to just flip them and just say, ha, cheater or something. But, well, jokes aside, I am not able to interact with the corpse side of the table, and it is good, okay? The game will only allow me, the platform will only allow me to interact with cards when it is possible. When I am able to do something with those cards, whether it's trashing, accessing, what have you, right? But for now, I cannot do anything with this. And on the corpse side, and I should have showed this to you earlier on, I just simply forgot, but don't worry because, hey, guess what? Modern technology, I can hop over there. What is happening on the corpse side is basically those 2 cards are exactly the same. They're face down as well. But, and this is a very important thing for the corp to remember, those cards are totally visible for me. and I can click them and interact with them. Of course, on the runner side, I will not be doing anything right now at this moment, but I can click them and see the options that I have in general. And the actions are, of course, resing, trashing, and whatnot, like different options for different things. Subroutines, I could fire subroutine if the time comes. Right now, the important thing for me is, as the corp, the secret information for the runner that is always accessible to me as the corp, for example, installed ice, I can just hover over it and see, hey, this is, this is it. Like, these are the cards that I installed. This is what I should be remembering. And it's much faster and much niftier than, picking a card up manually. Also, your opponent doesn't see what you're looking at. And this is a very good advantage in a way, because you might be reminding yourself what the cards are. In a physical game, your opponent would be like, oh, yeah, you're looking at different things right now, for reasons, right? And of course, it's a part of rusing and bluffing and poker faces and whatnot. But in a virtual game on Jinteki.net, your opponent doesn't see your cursor. They don't see your actions. They only see the results of your actions, and they see the record of your actions in the log. They don't see your cursor hovering. They don't see your nervous blinking. So don't worry, you can just totally be absolutely cool while playing this game, which you should. So yeah, I told you how this information is visible to the corp and is not visible for the runner, and why. So let's get back to the runner side of things, and let's have a turn, shall we? Well, I could try and, again, jailbreak, cleaver, all that stuff. What a runner usually does as well, you probably want to draw a card, of course. So again, it's going to take a while to load. I have an overclock, but yeah, it's just because the images have not been cached on this browser, so that's why it takes a while for them to load. Otherwise, they're going to be just fine. And yeah, okay, what else should I be doing as the runner? I should probably installing some cards. So let me just install a card or two. Let me just, well, what should we do? Creative Commission? Well, we still have 3 clicks. So let's drop this. Let's click it because you can only click it once. Oh, actually, yeah, I should be telling you what's happening right now with telework contract, right? So I'm going to, guess what, undo the click. Because here we are at this moment where a very important thing happened, and you can see on the card here, on the telework contract, that it has a very small number happening on it, right? Like you have a very small number showing up on it. And worry not, I will be showing you later how to make these numbers bigger, but that's a bit of an advanced thing. For now, just because my screen resolution is terribly big, and I'm sorry for that, I should have maybe changed the screen resolution. Apologies for this, but well, we're in the 21st century, resolutions are high. Just to highlight this situation here on the screen right now, to let you know what's going on. Of course, we all know that the telework contract has 9 credits loaded onto it. So this 9 on the telework contract is the number of credits on it. You guessed it correctly. So the fun thing about those special commands, and I'm going to maybe a bit too deep in here, but again, I hope somebody will be clipping this, is that I can, for example, say, actually I should be saying counter, right? Yeah. Counter and the number. So for example, let's just say I'm going to say counter 15. Now I have a special command and I can actually put 15 credits on it, right? Which is plainly cheating, of course. And the log is, of course, recording all this, so I'm going to fix it by saying counter 9 and putting back 9 counters on it, and that's it. Okay, why did I show this to you right now as a very advanced feature that you may not need at all? Sometimes because certain cards might not be automated, or because a situation happens in the game where you are not able to revert it, and as we all know, Netrunner can be a very complicated game with different interactions and so on. You might be using those special commands to fix the game state, fix the board state. Just say, oh yeah, no, this card actually doesn't have 3 counters, it should have 2, and so on and so forth. 99% of the time you will not have to. If that happens, those commands are there, so don't panic. If you're playing with somebody else, they might know these commands already. There are ways of fixing this. Those special commands are all listed in help, if I remember correctly. So now we're going into help. And yeah, it should be somewhere here, right? Perform actions, what if the card, how do I undo? Yeah, everything is actually here, see? Everything is here, and all the different special abilities and commands are all listed here. So I will not be going too deep into them, and this is kind of an aside. I should have probably done this at the very end, but I wanted to show this to you in the game so that you see how it works. They're special commands. They're all listed here. They do different things, and they basically manipulate the virtual state of the table so that you can make sure that the game is played correctly in case something unforeseen happens. Okay, so that's about it. So now I have the telework contract on the table. Sorry for jumping around a bit, but yeah. If I click telework contract, I don't have any options. It just automatically gives me the credits. Why is it doing so? Because the default action on telework contract, the only thing in fact I can do with this card when it is installed at this current moment is taking those 3 credits. So the game takes a shortcut, the platform takes a shortcut and just says, yeah, this is what you want to do. You want to take 3 credits. Nothing else to be done here, right? And yeah, you just get the 3 credits. You see that the 6 is now the number of credits, the 9 changed into the 6. Automatically the log recorded this information and my credits went up to 7, which is correct because I had 5. I installed the card, I went down to 4. And again, this is all reflected in the log. And then I gained 3 credits. So we are here. And then I'm going to end my turn by, oh no, sorry, not end my turn. My last click, I'm going to spend by playing a creative commission and go up to 11 credits. And again, end the turn here using this button and we're done. And the corp side, again, the corp player is seeing all those things happening on top, right? So if I transition, I'm going to see, and I should be maybe doing this step by step to show you exactly what's going on here. But that would be a lot of clicking around. Suffice to say that basically, again, as the corp, I end up on the on this side, having seen what the runner did and whatnot. Every step was reflected, and I'm going to actually do it the other way next turn. So you're going to see, or you know what? Now I'm going to play my corp turn right now with the runner view, so that you're going to see what your opponent sees. I think it's an interesting experiment to perform, right? So here we go for the runner view. And you can see exactly what the runner is seeing. And I should be, again, phasing out my visual help. And in the meantime, I'm going to be playing on the corp side. So now, as the corp, and what you could be doing, actually, as the runner right now, if you're viewing this video, which could be interesting information for you, or it could be useful information for you. I don't want to take your attention away from this, but I think it's going to be quite useful for you to see, is basically either focus on the table on the top side of the table, so where the corp area is, where the cards usually end up when you're the corp and you're playing against the runner here. So the runner is going to be seeing the action up top here, or take a look at the log on the right hand side, where all the different cards are going to be popping up, right? Or the different actions, excuse me, are going to be popping up. But yeah, I'm on the runner side right now, and I should be playing on the corp side. So I'm going to just hop over to my corp side. I'm going to click start the turn, but just observe what's going to be happening on the screen right now. And me, your imaginary friend on the other side of the internet, or maybe in the same room, but we're just not looking at each other's screens, because you can also use JNet, you know, playing from the same room onto different computers. A great way of testing if you don't want to shuffle and mess around with sleeves and all that stuff. This is a great virtual table to test. So basically, I just click start the turn as the corp, and you don't see it right now because you've seen it before, but you're watching the turn now of the corp from the runner's view. I'm starting my turn. You could see the cards go up to 6 in the corp's HQ. And the corp, well, the corp should be installing some stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm going to install a card on a new remote, and you can see it popping up in the top here, and you can see that this is a piece of ice, and of course it's installed like this, and you can see in the log on the side the information that the corp did certain things. So the corp installed ice on the side, protecting the remote, and it gives the numbers of the servers. The numbers of the servers are purely for orientation purposes, so that the game records the state properly and so on. In the normal game of Netrunner on the table, in a physical game of Netrunner, you would not, I shouldn't be using the word normal, by the way, sorry. In a physical game of Netrunner, you would not be numbering the servers. But here, because it's a digital platform, the digital version of JNet is just basically going to number the servers for you, and for its own sake, so that it can keep track of the game properly. So yeah, so you see what's happening on the screen here. The corp installed cards, and you, again, when you hover over them, you will not be able to see what they are. So the corp is just doing things secretly, and you can completely just, be freaked out that they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. The corp is also going to be installing another card in server 1. As you can see, that is popping up there. And now, and I should be maybe switching to the corp view. Yeah, let's take a quick look at the corp view. Or no, actually, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it because basically when you click a card that you can do something with, yeah, let's switch to the corp view. When I'm using a card, when I'm installing a card that I can do something with, and we know that I installed something in server 1 that is not specified whether it's a upgrade or an asset or an agenda, not at all, because that's information. This information is of course secret, and this is the only thing you can see. Oh, I just got disconnected. This is great. I should be testing. Okay, I got disconnected, and when this happens, now we have a very, very cool way of showing you what's going to happen. If that happens, if you see a message saying the corp has disconnected or your username has disconnected, what you have to do, you just have to refresh the page, and don't worry, this is a great demo of what's going on. The exclamation mark is doing nothing, don't worry. Now the important part here is I can rejoin the game. This is the important part. I wonder if somebody triggered this to just show the rejoining. Wasn't me. So if I click rejoin, I do actually have to put the password in, even though I started the game on this account. But yeah, you have to remember the password if you use the password, and then we're going back into the table, okay? So panic averted, crisis averted, we're back in the game. What the game is going to do is it's going to show you on the screen your card, your hand, so the cards you have in your hand and whatnot. But don't worry, you can just press start game. That's not going to restart the game. You're just going to get back into the game where you were, okay? So again, no need to panic, just refresh the screen and we're back. And you can of course see it in the log because the log is ingenious. It's going to say the corp has disconnected, the corp has rejoined the game. So here we are, we're back in the game and we're installing a remote. And now I installed the card in the remote. You didn't see it because I was installing it, with the other view. But if I hover over it, you see it's a regolith. I also installed the parasite. So as the player of the corp, when you install cards, you will see them. And now, of course, I'm going to res the regolith. So regolith mining license. I'm going to be using shortcuts for the card names here. But generally, I can just click it, choose the option to res. I'm spending the credits, so it automatically takes the credits from my credit total here on the left. And it opens the actions because, hey, guess what? I res the card. And by one click, and this is indicated here, I can take 3 credits. And of course, I just spend money, so I want to use that. And what happened is I spent all my clicks, so I can end the turn right now. And because the runner, of course, is not playing anything in secret, again, many times in the game, the runner information is mostly public and whatnot. I could just be showing you the runner interactions from the corp side, but that wouldn't really make much sense, right? So let's just start the turn on the runner side. And again, the buttons here are, you're going to be probably using a lot of the draw button. But you know what? Let's be daring. Let's be brave, right? Let's be cunning and let's put some pressure on the corp because we should. So I'm going to be, of course, playing in a way that I shouldn't be playing, huh? Like, I'm going to be risking it. But should I be risking it? Of course, we want to see some things happen. So I'm going to be saying, hey, corp, you only have 6 credits, right? Let's run your HQ. So I'm going to be initiating a run on JNet. And initiating a run on JNet kind of creates its own flow, which is important to figure out because runs are the heart of the game. They are what makes the game tick, and they are the most exciting part of the game. So let's get in there. I just click the run button here, and then I can choose which server I can run. Okay, of course, this is exactly like in a physical game where I would just be saying, hey, I'm going to be running servers, and then I just name the server. On JNet, of course, there's a button for everything, so I can choose the server. I said I'm going to be running HQ, so I'm going to just click HQ. And now what happens, and this is, you can hear the sound. Now what happens is you can see this arrow here, and this arrow basically means that I have initiated run on this particular server, and if I'm the corp, guess what? Well, the corp should be seeing things too, right? I mean, why shouldn't the corp be seeing things? The corp is of course going to be seeing things as well. So on the corp side, you see exactly the same arrow, but pointing at your cards. When you are the runner, of course, you are at the bottom, so the arrow is pointing upwards towards your opponent. When you are the corp, the opponent's actions are the runner's actions are against you, so they're pointing to the bottom. So just to make sure, this is the runner view again. We're initiating the run. Important options on the screen right now for you are again shown on the side here on the panel, where it says current phase, approach ice. And you can continue to approach the server or undo the click, because guess what? Misclicks happen. So I could, of course, undo the click. And I'm like, oh, sorry, Corp, that was just a joke. Haha, rusing you. But you shouldn't be doing this, of course. I mean, well, we're running there. So we just redo this, and the game, the system automatically updates itself. Automatically runs everything. So you don't have to worry about, manipulating things manually. And yeah, I want to approach the server. And now what happens is I should be switching to the Corp side, because yeah, now the runner is approaching the ice, and I can see this happening on this side. So let me just repeat this with the corp view. I'm going to actually be undoing the click on the runner side. You can see that this is again game reset to the start of the click, the information in the top, and the runner is again approaching HQ. And now when the runner clicks the button to approach ice, because I could be resing this right now, but no, I just want the runner to click a button. And then on the corp side, I have my options visible here. I can res the ice, and I can always hover over it to see what it was before I res it. But it also mentions the card that I'm going to be resing. So hey, res funhouse. So hey, there we go. That feature might be changing soon to make it even clearer what you're resing or what's going on here. So, just saying. I could also let the runner just continue to approach. And then there's the autopass priority, which is basically for any effects that allow the runner to pass. I can just, make the autopassing happen automatically. I usually play without it. Maybe I should have it enabled, but this is your flavor and whatnot. Your flavor of the game, you choose the way it interacts. I would suggest, just in case you're learning the game and you want to make sure that exactly you know exactly what interactions are happening, leave it the way it is, and the corp will just say, hey, guess what? Am I gonna res the funhouse? Yeah, I'm gonna res the funhouse. So I'm resing the funhouse. What's gonna happen right now on the corp side is I press this button. I don't do anything with the cards here. I could. I don't have to, and I think for clarity I should use the options here on the side. But I'm just highlighting it right now on the corp side here, and let me just move this exclamation mark away so that you can see all the actions. I could be saying, hey, okay, I'm clicking the ice itself, and then I'm choosing the option to res. Absolutely feasible, possible. They both do the same thing. So resing the funhouse here or resing the card here, same thing. So let's click it here. I am resing the ice. The log, again, shows me the interaction that just happened. The log keeps faithfully track of what's going on. And the corpse move is registered here. The corp pays 5 credits to res funhouse. Now, of course, what happened is the game state changed. The game state changed on the runner side, and now I actually, while performing that particular run, I'm actually encountering the ice. So you can see that this ice is visible. And now what is happening, and this is visible here, when I hover over the card, of course, and you can also see the little 4 on the funhouse, is the strength of the ice. So again, this is an indicator, a visual indicator that I can also see on the side of the screen, on the right-hand side of the screen, on the zoomed in card, that the strength is there, it's 4. But also the game reminds me of the ice strength here on the card itself, in a way, on the table, by having this 4 on display here. Might seem a bit little, but don't worry. I'll show you later how to make it a bit bigger with some hacks, but we're leaving hacks for the end of this. Okay. So what's going to happen now is we're going to be encountering the ice, and the important, very, very important number one thing in the universe when playing Netrunner on JNet at this very moment as the corp, please don't forget, because you might be a bit confused and your opponent might be a bit confused, is to choose the continue to encounter ice option. Okay, so this passing is changing into the encountering. And basically, what this means is that the runner will have some things happening to them because they are encountering the ice. You rest it, and now this menu is changing for me. I can fire unbroken subroutines, continue to pass ice, which is just saying, hey, the runner did everything they had to, and they can pass the ice. And again, the auto pass priority, don't worry about this. But basically, I can fire the unbroken subroutines or pass the ice. These are my two options as the corp. But, of course, this being Funhouse, there is a certain clause in it when the runner encounters this ice and the run unless the runner takes one tag. So this is an on-encounter ability, and of course you have heard about these already in your Netrunner career. How this is reflected on the screen, you can see it here. I have to choose. So while I'm running, the options on the side are changing, and I actually have a nice highlight here saying card Funhouse. I can highlight the name here and I can see what it does on the zoom on the right side, but I also have two options to choose. I can take a tag or end the run. Well, I have a resource on the table. I'm going to choose to end the run, right? I don't want to take the tag, or maybe I want to take the tag and I want to see what the corp has. I mean, they res the card for 5 credits out of their 6 and whatnot. I could just be going through this and going for it, right? So I'm going to take the tag. I'm brave, right? Maybe I'm foolish, but I'm putting pressure on the corp. What happens is, of course, I get a message. I have received the tag. You can see the tag being added to my interface on the side here. And again, important thing to remember, and there is a little highlight there, there is a little exclamation mark. Those tags are not tokens. You just have to remember that those side panels are going to be displaying the important information for you. Just like the log, but in a slightly different manner. Do make sure that you clear your tags, okay? Do make sure that you, if you want to clear them, of course, do make sure that you keep track of what's going on in that little panel, because that information might be crucial for you. And in a tournament setting, that could be very, very stressful, but all this information on the left side and on the right side is very clear when you remember about it. Treat these basically as your as your playmat's best friends. They just basically make it much easier for you to track certain information. And when you develop this habit of checking them before you end the turn or before you spend the next click, your game will get much better. You will be feeling much more comfortable playing this game. But now let's take a look on the corp side, because the runner decided to choose to take the tag. And the thing is, of course, they cannot break the subroutines. They don't have any breakers on the table. So this is what happens in the game. Like, the game automatically doesn't fire the subroutines. It's a virtual table that will just kind of let you talk it through. So for example, you can say, and this happens a lot in the chat or on Discord when people are talking using voice and whatnot. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, this is the runner typing in. Sorry, I forgot I'm on the runner side. So I'm going to answer to myself. But yeah, okay, the corp will fire the subroutine. And you have the option to fire unbroken subroutine. So what happens right now is, as we all know, give the runner one tag unless they pay 4. So I'm going to fire unbroken subroutines. And what happens right now on the runner side, important information, again, the interaction is changing here. The interaction panel tells me, take 1 tag or pay 4. Well, I'm fearless, I'm foolish, I really don't like that telework contract apparently. Or I could just pay 4. I'm going to pay 4, right? I have 11 credits. I'm going to pay 4. Whee! And now, because all the unbroken subroutines fired, I can just click past the ice and continue. I could also click past the ice and jack out if I wanted to, of course, but I'm going to click past the ice and continue. And this is reflected in the log here. Again, I'm not going to be highlighting this much more, just on the side very quickly. The runner has no further action. So the runner just says, hey, I did my thing, right? The corp resolves the unbroken subroutine. It is resolved. The runner has no further action. I paid the 4 credits. So what is the corp going to do? Well, we should be seeing this on the corp side, right? So the corp has the option to continue to pass ice. I'm going to let the runner through. And now what you can see is that on the runner side, the arrow that was highlighting my run, and the same thing happened, by the way, on the corp side as well. But the arrow, you can see it is crossing through the ice I just passed. And the same thing happened on the corp side. So yeah, both players have the same view, and the runner is going to be accessing. So as the runner, of course, I have the option to jack out, still available on my screen. I can still do that. But I'm going to access the server. And the corp, because the corp can still have some upgrades installed, for example, or some other tricks up their nasty corp sleeves. They also have options to have an action before access. And if I click this button, nothing is going to happen. The log itself is just going to say the corp, as in the player name, wants to act before the run is successful. And this can mean any bunch of things. I could be resin cards. I could be, using some assets to perform certain actions. I could be drawing more cards up with the spin doctor, what have you. Different things. But if I actually don't want to do anything else, I just click no further actions, and now the runner will be accessing things. So we're going into the runner view again, because now this is the fun part where the game is going to be showing me, depending on, of course, who I am, the cards. So as the corp, of course, I know my cards. As the runner, I have no idea what they are. If I hover over them, I only see the 4 corp cards. I have no idea what they are. I will choose access server. And the beautiful part here right now is I have access Urtica Cipher. It is highlighted here. I will not be going into what the card does, because you all know it, or you should know it if you haven't learned the cards yet. If you're new to the game, don't worry. It will take some time, but it's going to be the card you want to see from HQ and trash it, basically. And of course, I'm going to be more than happy to trash the Urtica Cipher. So I have options to actually take no action. Sometimes certain interactions will be kind of forced, and you will only have a way to just say, oh, wait a minute, I will have to do it, but first I will still do something. But here we actually have the option to choose no action or trash it. I will be trashing this, so I just pay automatically using this button 2 to trash. My credits are going to be going down, so you can, again, you can totally see this happening on the left side of the screen. I'm going to be using less and less of those transitions, but you can see it here. I access the card. I can choose pay 2 to trash. I'm going to choose pay 2 to trash. My credits are going down, and the card is getting trashed. And now it's in the archives. So now it landed in the archives on the corp side, and the corp side, of course, is going to see it on their bottom of the screen in the archives. But now I have it here. If I click the archives, I can see, because they now exist, that there is a card 0 face down, and the face down cards will, of course, be displayed face down and not accessible to you, or not visible to you, sorry, in any way as the runner. But yeah, I can actually review the contents of the corp's archives. I can, again, focus on my own cards. I can basically interact with the cards and see what they do. I can also look at my own heap. I forgot to mention that, but we played Creative Commission, and hey, I can look what I discarded, what I trashed into the heap, and so on and so forth. So I did my run, I accessed, it wasn't an agenda, but now I see that the corp has only 1 credit, and I still have 3 clicks and 5 credits. I could be maybe perhaps taking 3 credits, because I'm fearless. Maybe there's another, well, I mean, actually, should I be taking this? Maybe not. So I'm going to undo the click. No, okay. This is not about optimal play. This is about me showing you how the game works on JNet. I'm going to be running R&D. I'm fearless, and I want to approach the server. So I click continue to approach the server. And now the corp, of course, has the option to res ice and whatnot. So we're going to see right now the corp side of things. And here, again, the runner is doing a thing, and I have, well, Diviner costs me 2 to res, and I'm hovering over the card. The runner cannot see it, of course, and if I don't say anything, the runner doesn't know I cannot res it, so I could be thinking about it. But you know what? I'm going to say, no, I'm not resing this, of course. I mean, I don't have to say it in any way. I don't have to type into the chat, no res or anything. I can just say, no, I'll continue to approach server. So the arrow, again, automatically goes through the card. I say no further actions. I let the runner access, and the runner can actually access. And the runner's like, oh, geez, I should have played. And maybe I will still do it, but I should have played Jailbreak, right? That was the thing. Didn't think about it. That was my misplay. So what I can do, and I should totally, and in a tournament game or, in a casual game, you would probably be redoing this because, like, oh, I forgot to play Jailbreak or something. And in any other setting, your opponent would be like, no, you ran. You know that I'm not rezzing. You shouldn't be doing this. So let's just say this is not going to happen, of course. Not going to be casually friendly to myself. I'm going to access the server. Now I'm accessing a card from the top of R&D. So the Retribution takes a while to load, but it loads in its glorious high resolution and whatnot. And the only option I have for Retribution is no action. I don't have any ways to trash things. I don't have an imp. I am not a runner that has any special abilities regarding operations. I cannot do much. So the only thing I can do is, okay, remember that I actually accessed Retribution, and that's it. And the important thing about the log, and this is going to be also useful for you to know, and this is why you should remember maybe to have a notebook open, and take some notes on the side, is if you focus very quickly on the log on the side here, we had the whole record of my run. Okay, here, like, the runner was accessing Urtica Cipher, using telework contract, all that stuff on the side, on the right hand side. And then I made a run, the corp has no action, and I access an unseen card from R&D. So the corp doesn't know what it is, of course, like in a physical game of Netrunner. I take the top card of R&D, I look at it, I don't show it to the corp because that's the way you usually access cards from R&D, from the top, and I can decide what to do with it, of course. Right now my only action is no action, but the corp doesn't have to know it. I can just say, okay. So the equivalent of me pressing no action is just saying, yeah, okay. And the card goes back onto the top of the deck, okay? Nothing else happened. No other interaction happened. If you look at the situation from the corp side as well, again, I mean, this is what's going to be visible on the corp side. Oh, sorry, the exclamation mark is in the wrong spot. I didn't do the highlight. But yeah, if you focus on the right-hand side of the screen, it's the same thing. You only see the unseen card from R&D as the runner, and you don't see any information about the card itself. So I will only see the card as the corp when I draw into it. So again, the table keeps the information secret for the sides of the players accordingly. Anyway, here we are. That was a successful run. I accessed the card. I cannot do anything with it. So that's basically it. Let's go back to the runner view again then. And let me show you what's going to happen next. Well, of course, I have a tag, right? So this is the important part that I will remind all of you future runners. And it is highlighted here on the screen with my fancy exclamation mark grabbed from the Nisei assets, but it also is highlighted with this little, actually in-game exclamation mark, this little blue thing saying one tag. And as a runner, when you have resources on the table, when you don't want to die, and so on and so forth, you might just want to use the remove a tag feature, right? So you just click remove a tag, you lose 2 credits, you lose a click, and that's it. And I end my turn, right? There was this little fancy sound of removing a tag. It's kind of unique. So that's about it. We're going back to the corp side, and I can see that the runner did things. I can see this in my log, or I can see it in the public log, sorry, on the side. That the runner is ending their turn with only 6 credits and 4 cards, and that just before that they spent 1 click and paid 2 credits to use the runner basic action card to remove 1 tag. Why is it called the runner basic action card? Because, well, there is a card that lists all those, and you have it on the side of the table, of course. So this little phrase here is basically referring to that card. Okay, let's go back into the corp's shoes, right? So I have 3 cards. I'm going to click start the turn, and of course that's going to automatically draw a card because on the corp side there is always an automatic draw at the beginning of the turn. And guess what? I drew into the card that the runner has seen before I haven't seen, and of course we knew on the stream, we knew as the spectators of both hands that this was a retribution. But yeah, now the corp knows about it, and it's like, I actually have public trail, but I cannot play it because I'm super poor, right? And I actually have retribution for 1, but the runner is not tagged. So the best thing I could do, I mean, I could still draw, I could purge virus counters that there's none of in the game right now. I'm just going to click Regolith 3 times to take 3 from this asset several times. So I have to click again, click again. Why is this not doing it automatically, you might ask? Why is it, in the case of, I'm going to hover over here to telework contract, when the one runner was clicking that card, it was automatically just taking the credits and that's it. There was no need to highlight anything or to choose an option from a menu. Well, in the game of Netrunner, of course, the corp has always many different options available. So this is just reflecting the fact that if you interact with this card, you might be actually be derezzing it for some reason, for some game effect and so on. Again, most of these effects are automated and they work automatically. They will ask you to select cards and so on, and things are going to happen automatically. However, just for the sake of being able to do certain things with cards all the time as the corp, you may have to click some cards additionally. So just like the ice cards are always interactive for you and you can actually click them and see what they do. You shouldn't be, of course, using them right now because there's no run on this server or anything. But same thing for this asset here for the Regolith mining license. You just want to click this several times and yeah, that's it. So we loaded up to 10 credits. My credits on the side here are replenished. And I can end the turn. I have happily clicked my resource multiple times to just make sure that I'm back in the game money-wise. So let's transition to the runner side. Again, I see my started turn, and I'm going to be making this a bit more... I'm going to go a bit less on the explanation side, and I'm going to go a bit more on the game side, so that if an interaction happens that will be new, I'm going to take a stop there and show you what is going on. So I'm going to start my turn. I have money, but I know that the corp has also a lot of money. Well, I'm going to probably draw, because that's never a bad thing to do. Mayfly, which is good to have. I'm going to click this, and this is actually going to automatically trash. So I just clicked this telework contract. It disappeared from my side of the table, from my board, so to speak. It's in the archives here. Sorry, in the heap, not in the archives, you silly person. In the heap, because it got automatically trashed, because this is what the card does when it's empty. It just got trashed. So yeah, it's in my heap, and if I ever interact with the heap, I will be able to find it there. But for now, it's gone off the table. I have money. I should be installing some stuff, right? I see a code gate here. This is the funhouse, so I see it's a code gate. I should be dropping the Unity. And I have Cleaver as well, so that's good for barriers. So yeah, let's just maybe... And I also have an overclock that the corp doesn't know about because they don't see my hand. So let's just drop these two. Just to... Why am I actually dropping the Cleaver as well, even though I don't know if there are any barriers? Well, because this is giving Unity a bigger strength boost. But anyway, I'm not teaching you the game. I'm going back to the corp side. And on the corp side, where we are happily waiting for the runner to finish their turn, of course, because there's no interaction happening just yet. Start the turn. I drew into a Managram Skunkworks. So hey, this is a cool card to have on the remote, right? The runner is kind of poor. They only have 3 credits. They installed some cards. I'm going to drop this. I could drop it onto a new remote. This is an option that's here. So right now I have server 1 as an option because I created it earlier with the Regolith and the ice protecting it. I could drop it into a new remote, but of course I want to drop it into server 1. And it's not going to do anything because it's not going to ask me about overwriting cards or anything, because usually it would. But this is an asset and upgrade, so they can coexist in that remote, right? So this is the good news. I'm going to totally take 3 from this asset, trashing the Regolith in the process, because again, when it is empty, trash it. And then, because I have a Managarm, and I kind of feel cocky, right? I'm going to totally drop the Offworld Office into server 1. So now we can see those 2 cards are face down. They are highlighted because I played them this turn, so that's also a useful thing to know. This yellowish highlight here is basically, this golden highlight is showing you that both these cards were played this turn. And I can end the turn. I'm not advancing anything just yet, but you're going to see advancement happening in a second. Now I'm the runner, and I'm seeing the corp, and again, I can hover over these cards. They don't show anything, of course, because the secret information is kept secret from me. I don't have a lot of money. I do have an overclock. I do have a Mayfly. Will I dare? Should I go? Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, I know that in this situation, if there are 2 cards installed there, one of them is an upgrade, the other one is an asset or an agenda or something else. But basically, these are the options, right? So I'm just going to let the corp slide. I'm going to try and draw into more stuff. I'm going to draw into even more stuff. And then I'm going to play... the play that nobody should ever make. But yeah, Wildcat Strike. And now what happens is I play the card that, if you remember Wildcat Strike, relies on the corp to make a choice. So the game tells me, Wildcat Strike, waiting for corp to choose Wildcat Strike effect, right? So if I hover over it, it just gets highlighted, right? You see this really cool blue highlight happening here saying, hey, this card has been the play area. So it's being played, and now the corp has to decide what to do with it. And if I switch to the corp view, the corp player will actually see the Wildcat Strike options, right? So if I'm playing the corp and my opponent play the Wildcat Strike, I see it in the play area, and I have to choose something for the runner. And I'm like, they have breakers, right? Do I give them money? And I know what ice I have here, and so on and so forth. But I'm just going to bluff, and I'm just going to say, yeah, I'm not going to let you draw cards, even though, I mean, this is supposed to totally silly play, but I'm just going to say, yeah, the runner gains 6, I don't care. And again, as the corp, this was the only thing. It's not my turn. This was the interaction I had. And I could just do this one thing as a response to what my opponent was doing. So we're going to switch back to the runner side again to show you what's going on here. So the corp resolved my Wildcat Strike. It landed in my heap from the play area. And now I'm able to do other things. I have a click, I could run. I could, for example, go and chance accesses in the hand, maybe. I see that the corp is installing card or whatever. But then I have to take a tag. I don't have any resources, and so on and so forth. You know what? I'm just going to take it easy and draw a card. I could have played VR-cation, but then I would have to trash cards. I don't want to lose cards. And I see a conduit. Awesome. I'm ending my turn. And again, this is not me trying to teach you how to play Netrunner optimally. This is me showing you only the options in the interface, how they work. Back to the corp side. So I'm the corp. My opponent finished the turn. They drew into cards. They're not contesting my server. I will start my turn. I am drawing into a Seamless Launch, which is a perfect card to draw into. Thank you very much, RNG, right? Random number generators drew me this card. This was not scripted. Why is it perfect? Because I have an agenda, and it's a 4-2. So what I can do right now, and please again note, the golden highlights on the cards show me that I could be playing those cards. So for example, if I wanted to overwrite the server 1 card, I can just click this and say, hey, server 1. And now it says, the off-world office will be trashed. And I'm like, oh no, I misclicked. Okay, but if I click OK, I'm just showing you what happens. The 2 cards that I played earlier that the runner knows about are public and they are face up, right? And you can see them here in my archives. And the other card is a bit transparent. And it also says here 1 card face down. So 3 cards, 1 card face down. So I know that in my archives there's this mistakenly trashed off-world office because I overwrote it with the other agenda. And what the runner sees, if I go to the runner side, basically they see... the runner can see my archives, but they see a face down card, right? So there is no way for the runner to say, oh, there's an agenda. This could be anything. So they don't know. They can just go like, oh, what did you just trash? And you can just say like nothing. Or you can just say absolutely nothing and, you know, play with their mind even more. Back to the corp. Of course, this was an absolute misplay because I was super excited about the card. So I'm just going to use undo click. Oh, sorry, that was the runner side. Whoo! I just broke things. I'm going to say undo click on the corp side. Too many windows, huh? And I'm resetting back to the situation where I still had my send a message in my hand where the off-world office was on the remote. And I'm just going to totally play that Seamless Launch. So I'm going to click it. Now I have the card Seamless Launch in the play area with this little cursor that's like a what do you call crosshair? It's a crosshair. So now with this crosshair, I can select the target for this card. I can just say done as well if I don't want to actually select the target for a card that I don't have to select the target for. But come on, I'm playing a Seamless Launch. I want to place 2 advancement counters on 1 installed card that I did not install this turn, which is totally what happened. with that off-world office, I make sure that I don't choose Managarm Skunkworks. I have to make sure that the zoom, that the highlight of the card on the right side shows the off-world office. I click it, and then you see, and this is an important thing for the corp, and when you see this happening on the screen, you're going to be very happy. You want to see a lot of those. You can see that there are 2 advancement counters on this card, right? I also have 2 clicks left and a lot of credits, so I'm going to click this agenda, advance. I'm going to advance it again, and then the scoring option appears. So I can actually score it straight away, which of course I'm going to do. So what happens now is several things. I mean, the log is keeping track of everything, but we have a new situation here on the left side where a single card in my score area just appeared, which is the off-world office, and I have 2 agenda points, and this is mentioned here. And of course, we're playing up to 7, right? So I'm already making points. I'm already making bank. My credits are automatically also updated, so you can see that I have more credits, and I can happily end my turn and just say na 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 to the runner, right? And the poor runner is like, I should have contested the remote and whatnot and all that stuff. But anyway, back to the runner then. It's the runner's turn, and the runner has their own plan, of course. I mean, the corp is sitting on a ton of money, but the runner has options here. So let's just maybe perhaps start by drawing a card, because money. Oh, that's a Carmen. That's always good to have, huh? We have all our breakers available. Oh, shoot, I should be changing to the runner. And this happens a lot when you have multiple screens, huh? But when you're playing the game on your own, only as one person, not making a demo out of 2 tables, you will not have this problem, okay? So yeah, I just drew into a Carmen, and now I'm gonna be brave, bold, and silly. I'm just going to jailbreak into R&D. I'm like, okay, the corp has a lot of money, but let's risk it. And this is a very risky move, but... Oh no, actually, I'm gonna be super safe. I'm gonna play Mayfly, and I'm going to jailbreak into. And again, this is happening on the screen right now. You can choose a server. And jailbreak, because you can only choose HQ R&D, it automatically tells you that you can only choose this or that. So you cannot, for example, run a remote with jailbreak, right? I mean, not that you would, but the cards automatically limit your options to what they actually offer you in the game as much as possible legally. So I'm going to run R&D. I mean, I don't want to run HQ. There's tags and everything. So I'm going to run R&D, and I'm going to continue to approach server. In the meantime, I'm just going to switch to the corp side. You know what's going on there. I have a diviner. I'm going to totally res the diviner. And now the runner can see the diviner and go like, oh, schnitzel, I don't have a code gate breaker. Yes, I do. And this is a code gate, so I can actually use Unity. So what happens right now is I'm going to click Unity and choose the option to add 1 strength for each installed icebreaker. Click this 1 time, and now you can see on Unity itself that the value is actually changing in real time. I click this thing, and now Unity strength is 4, and you can see this again reflected in the log. The runner pays 1 to use Unity to increase its strength from 1 to 4. It's over here in the log, and we're going through, right? But I still have to break the subroutine, so I have to choose break what congregate subroutine. And now the beautiful thing happens. The game shows me that, hey, you chose the option to break subroutines. Which subroutine do you want to break? And if there are multiple subroutines, I would be breaking multiples, but I'm breaking only 1 because there's only 1, so I don't want to get the net damage. Voila. And pass the ice and continue. The corp, and I'm doing this in the meantime as the corp, of course, will continue to pass ice. Yeah, I cannot do anything else as the corp. And now the runner can choose to access server. I could still check out if I wanted to, but I'm going to access the server. So now we're digging into the cards, right? And now the runner approaches R&D. I hope I didn't get disconnected. And the corp has to, of course, and again, I'm going to just switch to the corp side so that you see why the runner is not seeing cards just yet. Because the corp still has to click, if you're playing as the corp and your opponent is accessing your servers, getting there is breaching, you still have to confirm the breach. So you have to say no further actions, right? And now the runner is automatically already accessing an unseen card from R&D. And guess what? Oh, lucky day. So the runner, and I have a big exclamation mark on it, which shouldn't be there, because this is not a sensationalist thing. But yeah, what happens right now, this is better scripted than I could have actually scripted it myself, even if I was, hacking the platform to make it work. I accessed off-world office, which is an agenda. I can steal it, or also steal it. These are the only options I have for this card, so I have to steal it, so I'm stealing it. And then I'm accessing another card, which is automatically refreshed here. It's the predictive planogram. Well, the thing is, it doesn't have a trash cost, so again, no action. Like in the case of Retribution, I accessed earlier as the runner, I couldn't do anything, so no action. But I have 2 agenda points as well, and you can see it is now reflected in my scoring area here. So again, just to highlight this thing here, both the runner and the corp have a copy of the same agenda, because that was just purely lucky, purely random, but both have 2 agenda points. So it's a tie for now, it's a draw, right? So we keep playing until 7. And what happens right now is I can still keep going. I could actually install Carmen with a discount because I made a successful run, or I could draw extra cards, or I could make some money. I think I need some money, so I'm going to play Creative Commission and end my turn. Of course, the corp is fuming. So me as the corp player is just saying, what just happened, huh? The runner has agenda points? Disgraceful. So I'm going to draw into a predictive planogram, which I didn't know that the runner accessed earlier on, but hey, okay. I think we need to draw some extra cards because we don't have a lot of ice and the runner is just going in and stealing our stuff. So let's play predictive planogram. And now, because predictive planogram has 2 options, unless the runner is tagged, I can only play 1. I will choose to draw 3 cards. I have a lot of money. I'm drawing into 3 cards. They all appear and they load a bit and they take a while, but don't worry. Again, high resolution images. This account has not been used, this browser has not been used in a while, so nothing is cached here. It's going to work much faster, your 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 10th game, and so on. I have more eyes. Brilliant. I have amazing amusements. Brilliant. I have things I can install. I have an agenda in my hand. And you know what? We're going to be cheeky. We're going to go server 1, and it automatically installs things over. Now, if I wanted to trash this, I could, for example, choose the option to trash and then install this ice, of course, to overwrite the ice and make it cheaper for this brand install. Because if I install, and you can see it in the log here on the side, the corp spends 1 click and pays 1 credit to install ice protecting server 1, right? So I had to pay the 1 extra for the positioning of the ice, and this is a basic Netrunner rule for the corp, that I have to pay extra. The more ice I install, the more layers I make. And then, because the runner is a cheeky person, I'm going to install this card in server 1 and end my turn. Okay, so let's switch over to the runner side. I've seen things happening. I see the corp building up their server. This is not good. I have no idea what they're installing there. I only have certain breakers. I don't have that much money. So let's draw, because it's always good. And I have 2 overclocks, and I think the time is ripe to go with the overclock into server 1, right? So I'm choosing actually this option. And again, I can just undo the click if I misclicked. If I do this, and this is also an important thing for people who may not know how this part works, and it might get a bit frustrating because, hey, I just undid a click, right? I just undid a click. I want the card back. And this is an important piece of information for you to know. You have to remember that the play area is an interactive area as well. So this overclock that I played, it's not back in my hand automatically. I have to actually drag it. So now I'm going to take it and mouse drag it into my hand, right? And now it's dragging it with the left click or whatever click your mouse believes in as the action. I dragged it back into my hand. It's right here at the bottom right now again. And I have the clicks back. I have the credits back that I spent on everything, but this is an action I had to do manually, okay? So undoing the click when you initiate a run, you may have to, or when you play a card that goes into the play area, you may have to draw it back into your hand, okay? So that's the important part. But okay, yeah, no, I reconsidered this. I will definitely, I have a Mayfly. Okay, let's go and overclock into that server 1. Let's see what the corp has, because I really want to access this, because if this is an agenda, that means more points for me and I'm gonna win. Or maybe die in a blaze of glory, right? So let's see what the corp sees, of course. And we know that the corp is holding a few surprises here. So there's a Bran here that the runner does not see. There is a Palisade or Palisade. And my option is, of course, right now, because the runner is approaching Bran, I can res Bran, or I can leave them to continue to approach the ice. I could res Manigarm to scare them off. I'm not going to be resing send the message. So I'm going to res brown. I have a lot of money, and I know that I can always check this. So I see that it's 6 credits for Bran, 3 credits for Palisade. So yeah, let's just res Bran for 6. My credits were updated. The ice is up, and now let's switch for the runner side. Oh, sorry, I have to also make sure that the runner, is accessing the ice. So yeah, continue to pass ice. Sorry, I'm encountering the ice. So the runner is in a pickle because we're running into a barrier. It is going to be pretty expensive with the cleaver. But this is a Bioroid ice, and you all know that Bioroid ice have this option to lose a click for the runner, and you can break a subroutine. And I still have 2 clicks left. Woohoo! Well, how about we just use this? So I can actually click Bran itself, and this is one of those rare occasions where I could click a corp card that I can interact with and choose the options, and I can see the subroutines here also displayed. So I can actually make sure that I can interact with those things here in this particular window, in this pop-up, by clicking break one subroutine. And then, wait, I did do it. Is this one of those instances where chances are, and this is one of those things, chances are that I'm doing something. Oh yeah, you know what happened? The corp didn't click a button. So again, let me show you why this is not working. And this is a thing that I've been learning and relearning myself as a player that has been playing this on this platform for a while. Those things will happen. If you're a core player, it is your sacred duty to perform a certain action here. You do have to click. Oh no, actually no. It says continue to pass ice. So no. I will totally. I should be. The runner should be breaking the subroutines, right? So maybe there's something wrong, but I can show you how to fix it manually. And this is a wonderful. Oh, the runner has disconnected. That's why. Okay. So if a disconnect happens, we are the runner. Hopefully the corp is going to hold the table for us. And if the game crashes, don't worry. We're going to rejoin. Clicking rejoin. I have to input the password. I'm going back in there. Start the game because the game has already been on and I'm just joining the game, or I'm kind of starting the table situation. Okay, so let's click again. Break on subroutine, and now things are changing. Now you can see this, and that was just simply because I took too long, or maybe my internet connection is not the best here. Apologies for that. But now you can see again here that for Bran 1.0, well, I have options to break subroutines with my clicks because it's a Bioroid eyes. So I can choose which subroutine I'm going to break. And I'm going to break the 2 end the runs. When I click the subroutine I want to break, it's going to disappear. And it gets reflected also in the log on the right hand side as previously. It was highlighted the same way as well. So I break both subroutines and now I'm out of clicks. So now automatically the game says, hey, you cannot break any more subroutines. So I have to let the other subroutines fire, right? And the other subroutine on Bran is for the corp to decide. So now the corp is going to have their fun with it because, the runner indicates to fire all unbroken subroutines on Bran. I click fire unbroken subroutines and I could install a piece of ice from Archives or HQ. And you know what? I will. Just because I want to scare the runner. So yeah, it's going to go right behind Bran. And I have to click continue past the ice. I will close the archives because I installed nothing from there. And the runner on their side, of course, will see this happening. We'll see this ice popping up there and can click past the ice and continue. Now it's going to be encountering the next one. So we have to continue to approach the ice. The corp has to decide whether to res, and we have 8 credits, and we're going to defend this until the very end. I'm going to res the funhouse. So now the runner has to decide what they are going to do, and well, choose the tag or end the run. And this is the tricky part again, of course, for the runner to choose. And if the corp is spending so many resources and going so low on the money, of course we want to push on. So I'm going to, although zero clicks. This is the tricky part, right? Let's take the tag. And I could be breaking this, or I could just pay 4. I mean, this is going to be 2 credits. So no, I'm going to add 1 strength. And now I can select a card providing select a credit providing card. I need to spend the credit on this ability on Unity, and I have a card in the play area which is overclock. And you can see this little exclamation, sorry, not exclamation mark. I'm gonna bring the exclamation mark up to the play area so you can see what I'm talking about. You can see that my cursor is a hopefully you can see it. It's a crosshair. If you don't see it, don't worry. I'm just pointing it at overclock right now. So I'm choosing this card, I'm clicking this card, and the 5 on the overclock is going to turn into a 4 because I used the money from the card in the play area for the card effect. And then I still have to click Unity again because I only used the overclock credit to go up in strength. And again, I can break a subroutine with Unity. So I'm choosing the subroutine to break. And again, it's an option because it's a may on overclock. You can spend host credit during a run, so I don't have to, but I can. Yeah, I need 1 credit. I click it, it goes down to 3. I broke Funhouse, so I can pass the ice and continue. And the corp on their side, of course, sees the interaction, clicks continue to pass ice. And I want to continue to approach the server. There are things there that I definitely want to find out. And the corp is like, oh no, like this is terrible. Terrible. What do I do? Options. The options are terrible. And now, of course, do I res this and I have 0 credits and the runner probably breaks it because they have money and a cleaver? Or do I let them steal the agenda that they don't know of and maybe I res the palisade for free? What to do? And the corp just clicks because the corp, of course, is me and I'm not the best corp player. But anyway, what happens right now is on the corp side, if I want to let the runner through and I'm just completely lost and doomed, I just say continue to approach the server. The arrow changes, no further actions. I don't want to, or actually I could res Managarm. So yeah, I'm going to click action before access and now I'm going to hover over Managarm and choose to res it. And I could do it before because the runner is still not in the server. Okay, so they still can, they still have to, decide what to do. They could still jack out, and this is reflected on the runner side of things, of course. And the runner is like, oh, there's a Managarm there. I can actually see it because it's res, and I can hover over it to see it. So, oops. Okay, I still have the overclock in the play area, which is good news for me. Let's access the server. So now I have to access the server. And now the corp has to say no further actions. And now I can click... oh yeah, actually, sorry, Managarm should have fired. So I think I should have res the Managarm. And this is the thing that you will learn over time. For certain things, they might not fire and you may have to redo some things because... I actually did the wrong thing and I should have probably res Managarm earlier. But anyway, if this happens, well, the runner has to pay 5 or spend 2 clicks. Well, the runner can pay 5. And this is the moment where you can totally hover on the side here if a situation like this happens in your game, right? And that might happen, you never know. But I'm just going to, again, highlight the part here on the virtual table of Jinteki.net. You might actually... click down your credits just by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm basically covering the cost of Managarm Skunkworks, okay? Whenever the runner approaches the server and the run, unless they either spend 2 clicks or pay 5. I paid the 5. It just happened, something didn't trigger, whatever. Many interactions, weird stuff, maybe I rest the card too late, whatever. I can still access, so I only have 2 credits. I'm going to access this, and I can actually pay 3 to trash because guess what? I have overclock, right? So the run is still happening. So I can pay 3 to trash. And I can select the card providing credits. Goodbye, Managarm. And then I have to access the other card. So I choose the other card. And guess what? I access, send the message. And it's not shown, it's not highlighted here because it's on a remote right now. So it's a secret. But yeah, I'm going to steal this. And now what happens is because send the message is an agenda that has a trigger, right? So this just happened here. When this agenda is scored or stolen, you may res one installed piece of ice incurring all costs. So this is the trigger for the corp. And now on the corp side, of course, if that happens to me when I'm playing against the runner and the runner is a pesky individual who just stole my agenda, well, guess what? My send a message is going to rest something for me, right? So I can select the target for send a message, and I can still see the whole interaction here. I can see that they spent all the money and whatnot. I can select the palisade and just res it to spite the runner, okay? The run is, of course, automatically over because the agenda was stolen and so on and so forth. It's still the runner's turn because they still haven't clicked end the turn. So as the runner, you still have to click end the turn. But this is the situation, okay? No clicks, 2 credits, 1 tag. You're in trouble town, but you have 5 points. And we're going to the corp side, and the corp is kind of bitter because stuff happened, right? I mean, this was not supposed to happen. What was this? This was terrible. I was supposed not to lose any agendas, and here I am losing against myself. But anyway. So, looking at the options here, I cannot play public trail because too much money. I have an agenda. And now, of course, superconducting hub. Well, I don't have any money. And I'm poor, so I'm going to draw, gain a credit, and gain a credit. And I do this manually. So it's the saddest way of gaining credits, but still. I'm going to end my turn and then over to the runner side. And the runner, of course, has to click there, start the turn. And so on and so forth. I just want to make sure that I show you the end of the game and some other features, because it will probably make it a bit easier for you to understand what's going on. So yeah, I'm not going to try and force the finishing. I'm just going to be playing this versus myself. And yeah, if you see anything interesting or if you see anything untowards, if you're in the chat, you can of course tell me. If you're not in the chat, you can always send me an email later on and tell me like, hey, you totally messed up because blah. And I would be like, no. And you'll be like, but of course. But anyway, this is more or less how the game works on Jinteki.net, and I'm going to be finishing this game right now, pretending I don't know what's going on, and trying to make sure that you have fun while you watch what I do here. Okay. Let's see. Drawing the cards by, of course, clicking the button. Going to remove the tag using this particular option, and I'm going to gain more money because maybe I'm going to draw into something else. Switching to the corp side. Starting the turn. Need more money, but I'm going to install this. Switching to the runner side. Starting the turn. And again, when you're going to be playing this game versus somebody, of course, you're going to only be playing one side. I'm showing you both sides that you see the interactions, what's going on and whatnot. Actually, no, undo. Well, I shouldn't be undoing, but yeah, I should be undoing this and using VRcation to draw extra cards, right? Yeah. I'm playing this very, very badly, by the way. So yeah, I'm just going to do the thing that, you know, I could actually totally do in a casual game. I'm going to undo the click and I'm going to say, no, I'm a silly person. I wanted to play VRcation to draw extra cards. I'm not happy with this card, so I'm just going to gain a credit. And yeah, we're going to do something actually that's very important to remember. Okay, I'm not going to try and lose that leech because it will be useful, but I'm going to end the turn. And two things happen right now, and this is the interesting part. Because I installed, and yeah, should have remembered about this interaction. Haha. Because I installed a piece of software, a program that has more MU than I actually have left. And you can see this here. There's a big exclamation mark saying -1 of 4 MU unused. So yeah, I have memory units below limit. Because I installed the leech, I already have a mayfly, a cleaver, and a unity. So that's 4 MU, and this is the 5th MU. I actually have to trash a card. So to make sure that I can end the turn and keep the game state legal, I have to trash a thing. So I'm going to trash the mayfly. I'm just going to drag it into the heap, and you can see that the MU state, that the memory unit state has been updated accordingly. I can now end the turn, and now another trashing is going to happen because I have 7 cards in my hand and the limit is 5. according to my grip. So I have to discard down to 5 cards. The tricky part about this process is, again, I have a crosshair here, you can see it. And that crosshair, if I point it at cards, is going to highlight. The moment I click, it's going to get trashed, okay? So I think I will not be needing more than 1 leech. And I think I will not need a cleaver. Oh, then again, if they play retribution, well, who knows, who knows. But yeah, okay, let's trash the leech, and let's be daring and trash. Conduit could be cool, but I only need 1. And of course, we're talking about strategies here right now. But okay, maybe let's trash Conduit, or maybe I could actually pressure R&D and get more counters. But it's expensive, and I just need to find 1 more agenda, maybe 2. With a heavy heart, it is that I'm going to trash this. And now again, they went to the heap, they are there. I could undo my click if I trash the wrong things. I would probably have to undo the turn, actually, because that's another thing. And when you have to undo your turn, that's going to reset the whole turn, okay? You undo basically your whole turn. So that, use it wisely, and don't abuse this. It's for fixing game states that just happened and you really don't feel good with them. In a casual setting, okay, or unless something went very wrong. And your opponent will have to use the same command to confirm for undo turn. For undo click, no, you just have to make sure that they remember that you undid a click. But for undo turn, it is a bit of a bigger kettle of fish. So you have to be careful about this. Okay, so again, corpse side now, just to make sure that this is under control. Let me just hop over to the corp. And the corp is poor. Draws into a card. Terrible. We definitely need money. Or do we need money? Maybe we need cards. But the runner is poor. So... And there's an Urtica here. But the runner is poor. I'm going to gain 3. I'm going to over-install in server 1. And the game is going to tell me that the Urtica cipher in server 1 will not be trashed because, again, an agenda and an asset cannot coexist unless the card text states differently, but they just can't by basic rules. So I have to agree. The Urtica went again to my archive as a face down card, so the runner never saw what it was. And I'm going to be bold and daring, and I'm going to advance. Woohoo! Because I don't have to care about the ice, right? So again, over to the runner side. And on the runner side, nothing new is happening. I'm poor. I have 5 points, but that's about it. I see the corp is advancing things with impunity. So I'm going to spend my turn just clicking for credits because I'm a genius in this game, like telling you. The corp is gonna, again, draw into another agenda. This is getting spicy here, and I do have the credits, so let's advance. And let's advance again, and let's score. And now, of course, this is an option, by the way, on Superconducting Hub. So I may draw 2 cards, and of course I'm going to draw 2 cards because I do have a bigger hand size. I'm drawing into cool things! Let's play some money, or let's keep the tempo up, although the runner is getting into credits and they can click through things. So maybe let's play some money. Okay. And end the turn. And again, back to the runner side. One of the beautiful things about JNet and Netrunner is that I can show you a game for 2 players while switching windows and pretending to be 2 people. I couldn't be doing the same thing with tennis, you know. It would be very hard. Okay, let's draw into a card. Tread lightly, a bit useless right now because I see all the things. But I could actually penny shave and run the archives, and I will show you another interaction. I'm going to access the server. The corp doesn't have many actions. I can just say no further actions. And now what happened is the access was automatic because archives, of course, are accessed in their entirety. And now I see that the Urtica cipher that before was face down, now it became a face up card for me. So I have perfect knowledge of the archives. All the cards are with the arrow up over here. They're mentioned as the revealed cards with the arrow down. They're the face down, the secret cards that the corp discarded, and I didn't know what they are. Okay, so I got a penny shaver credit, and I'm going to be very, very happy, and I'm going to run the archives again. I'm going to access the server. The corp on their side will, of course, confirm. Oh, actually, sorry, I misclicked, so no further. So I access the server, and again. And then I'm going to end my turn, and then over to the corp. I've been at it for a while, but okay. The corp is drawing into a card, which is a secret card. The runner is still very poor, so the corp is gonna go for a big play. And maybe perhaps advance it. And then maybe perhaps the archives are becoming a liability, huh? So let's just install the card in the archives. And again, it's face down for the runner and for me, but as the corp, I can always look at it and go like, ah, this is the card I installed. So that's the good news. Okay, so on the runner side, I start the turn. I have some money, but now I would have to run archives that are probably spiky, so I don't want to get in there. But the good news is I can, well, try and see what's going on. Oh, no, this is not good. I'm going to gain a credit, and I'm going to gain a credit, and again, I'm going to end the turn and trash one of the cards that I have too many of. And let's see what the corp does. The corp is drawing into more and more agendas. Nobody knows what's going on, so they're just gonna advance. And score for the win. 5 points and 5 points. So this game is drawing to a close. The runner, in the meantime, is going like, okay, this is the big thing, right? Like, it's now or never. So, might as well go for the big things. And this is going to be a power play. Look at me go. I'm going to install... actually, can I? Yeah, I can. Because Penny Shaver gave me a MU, so I have extra MU, so I can drop the conduit. So I'm going to install the conduit, automatically landing it onto the table. I have 1 credit, and I have some other options. And now I'm going to basically run. And this is an important interaction that I should also highlight. As you know, conduit is a card that allows you to perform certain special runs that affect R&D. Because conduit has 0 counters on it, it doesn't do anything just yet. But the first one will basically be a normal run on R&D, which I'm just going to highlight that I'm going to do this. So I'm going to run R&D, and I'm going to continue to encounter the ice, and now I'm encountering the ice. The corp has to click continue to encounter the ice also, which is very important. And I'm going to be a cheapo. I'm going to be a cheapskate. I'm going to basically using this option to give -1 strength to current ice. I can lower the ice power, or the ice strength, sorry, of the diviner to 1, which makes it cheaper for Unity to break. So I can then choose break 1 Codegate subroutine. I pay 1 credit for this. I can pass the ice and continue. The corp will say continue to pass ice, and then access server, and the corp has to say no further actions. And I access Karuna, which is a scary sentry. Oh geez, this is gonna be terrible if the corp actually, you know, does things with it. So I say no action. But now, this is an interesting interaction here that I should also highlight, and I'm very happy it's happening. So when certain things happen in the game, and you have the option on conduit, you may place 1 virus counter. I can say yes. I can also click conduit and go for toggle auto resolve on conduit. Certain cards can just automatically do things that the game says you may do. And in the case of conduit, for example, the effect is positive for the runner. So I just trigger the auto resolve, and then it asks me whether I want to set the auto resolve to always, never, or ask. And again, your preference, I would always go for always. And for the first time, of course, because I didn't use it before, I have to say yes. So now The interesting part is you see those red counters now on the virus cards. And guess what? They are virus counters. So you can already see that we have strength of ice and strength of icebreakers matching in yellow. If you have trouble seeing colors, don't worry. But basically, the cards, the ice and the icebreaker strength is coded the same way. The penny shaver credits are a bit different. They are on a darker background. If you remember the telework contract, that had kind of a same look as penny shaver because it was basically money. And then we have the counters on leech and conduit, which are red, which are virus counters. So these, and they're also, they're all placed in the middle of the card for the tokens that are symbolizing viruses or credits. And the strength is in the corners of cards. But yeah, I would assume that even for people who see colors differently, slightly differently, the hues of the colors should help you realize what you're looking at. So there we are with the counters on conduit and on leech. And now what can happen is conduit can be clicked just like leech before, and you can actually use the option to make a run on R&D with a click. Of course, to see extra cards. Would I do it right now? No, of course not, because I don't have the money to break the diviner. So instead, I'm going to click penny shaver, and this automatically performs the action on penny shaver for a click. Place one credit on this hardware and take all credits from it. So this is what happened, and I could now perform the conduit run. And I shall, because I want to see one extra card, right? So I have to click conduit, otherwise conduit is not going to resolve on its own, because this is an option from this card. When I click this, you will see that the conduit card is now, just like before we had the run cards showing that they are, played against certain servers. Here the conduit is shown to be played against R&D, obviously, as the card states. And we're going to encounter the ice. We will have to, we only have 2 icebreakers, so I'm just going to give strength to ice. Oh, sorry, yeah, the corp again has to click continue to encounter, and now I can, exactly. I'm just doing some automatic things here. Automatic, I pass the ice and continue, and again, not optimal place here, huh? And now the runner will be accessing 2 cards because of conduit's special effect. So the first one is Karuna that I already knew, no action on this, and then Bran, no action. So this is trouble for the runner. I use the conduit to put another counter on it. I could toggle the auto resolve and set it to always, and it will automatically do it. And then I just end the turn, and the corp is now, of course, sitting in the corpy corner going, haha, you are poor, you have not hit anything, and I have some agendas in my hand, I could potentially win this. So of course start the turn, and now the option to purge, I'm going to undo the turn, but basically if I purge right now, the virus counters on the virus cards that are of course public knowledge to me and the runner are going to disappear. You heard the purging sound. The comment says, of course, 3 clicks were spent and so on, and the counters have disappeared. And I could end my turn, but I could also say undo click or undo turn. Well, if I say undo click, it's going to bring me to the beginning, because this was a click action that cost me 3 clicks, basically, of course. So they're not 3 separate clicks. And I don't want to purge. I want to win this. So I'm going to install Overthrow Superiority on server 1. And I'm going to advance it. And I still have 1 click. But just because I'm a terrible, terrible person, I could actually install the Karuna on R&D just to make it very hard for the runner to get in. But I'm magnanimous. I'm just going to land the tag on them. Right? I mean, is the tag actually helping me with anything? I could retribution something and trash a piece of... Yeah, of course. I'm going to public trail. And now what happens is, so okay, you see that the card is in my play area, and now the runner, the poor runner, has options to choose from, right? I mean, well, guess what? If I had 8 credits, right? And I can tell you right now that even if I went up to 8, I don't think that's gonna work out I had two. I'm just manually hacking the game here, but no. I can only choose one tag right now, right? If I have 8 credits, I would be able to pay this other cost, which is pay 8 to avoid the tag, but I cannot. So my only pick is take one tag. I land with a tag, and it's still the corp's turn. So the corp has to end the turn, which they do, and then I can start a turn. So I have a tag. I have 4 clicks. There's something advanced in server 1. I have 2 credits. I am terribly poor. I have overclock, but I also have conduit with counters, and there was no purge. Remember, I was just showing you the purge. So the only way is up, right? So let's do this, I guess. I will be able to run a handful of times with 2 credits. Well, no, actually, basically. Now I'm into the territory of finger maths when it's late and you're tired, trying to teach people how to use JNet and actually devolving into a fully blown game of Netrunner against yourself. So anyway, I could totally overclock in there, but this is not going to help me with much, right? And I'm going to be losing precious resources. Should I be overclocking into server 1? I mean, there's a fun house. I don't care about the tags. I could click through Bram. And I could break Palisade. So yes, let's do this. Let's be the runner that can totally be evil. I'm going to run server 1. The corp didn't know this, of course, because this card was secret. And I'm going to encounter the ice. I'm going to use the options to break... yeah, the corp has to, of course, choose encounter the ice. And then I'm going to break one subroutine with my clicks, and I can click through everything. I don't care. This is the play. Pass the ice and continue. The corp allows me to pass the ice, and then they click continue to encounter the ice. I continue to encounter the ice. I have to take the tag because that's the cost of encountering it, and then let unbroken subroutines fire. I don't care. The corp, of course, on their side, as you have seen before, I'm just making sure that you see it again, will choose fire unbroken subroutines, of course. And now the runner on their side will have the choice to go for take a tag or pay 4. And I don't want to pay. I want to just take the tag. I'm fearless here. I pass the ice and continue, and the corp cannot do anything about it, so they click continue to pass ice. And encounter ice on the palisade. And now the corp is going to regret this because I can continue to encounter the ice. And I can click, for example. I could do it both ways, but I could click leech and decrease the strength. And then click the cleaver to break up to 2 barrier subroutines. And the run, I have to choose a card that provides credits, or I could actually use my own credits. But I'm going to use this. I'm going to use overclock, and I'm going to pass the ice and continue. And the corp, of course, we're going to say continue to pass the ice. No further actions because there's nothing there. I'm going to access the server and steal the orbital superiority, for the win. So that's basically what happened here. I mean, I played the game against myself. It took me 123 minutes, which is a new world record of playing games against yourself. Whoa, serious business. But let's be honest, I spent 2 hours explaining how the interface works here for you. And I'm going to be wrapping this up, but the important thing is the stats you see on the screen right now are showing you certain things, and I wouldn't worry about them too much. If you're starting the game, they're fun to look at. They are saved in the replay and whatnot, and we're going to be talking about things that happen after the game. Basically, right now the game has finished, and both players can, of course, discuss in the chat, as always. You see that the runner has won the game. They have 7 points in their victory area. There are no special screens other than the pop-up telling you what happened. So you have to just figure out that, hey, I actually ended the game and ended the turn. And you could actually keep playing in a way, you know? But anyway, I can click end the turn and nothing happens, right? Because now the corp could actually click start turn and whatnot. But on the corp side, it looks like this as well. And of course, we have the message saying the player name and the side they were playing. They won by scoring agenda points on turn 13. It took a hell of a lot of time to explain this to you, how the interface works, but I hope it was useful. I can close this. And now the fun part is because, of course, as the core player, I'll be like, oh, come on, I was waiting for blah, blah, and blah. and I can click this and I can, for example, go show. What this does is it shows all my remaining cards from start here to finish to the bottom cards in my deck. So I can actually see, dang it, I was waiting for some cards. How far, you know, how long? Of course, you're not playing anymore. This is basically you looking through your deck. And of course, the fun thing is you can close and shuffle, or you can just close and just say whatever. And this is all reflected. In case you were wondering, this is all reflected in the log. The corp looks at their deck, okay? So please don't try and pull it off at a tournament or something, because everybody will see and you will just be, you know, caught red-handed. And cheating is not fun when you're playing games. The runner can do, guess what? The same. You can just show your deck to yourself. Only you can see this. And again, you can, oh, sorry, that's the corp side. I'm looking at the corp side. Whoops. You can do the same thing here. You can show and you can say, oh yeah, I had a short gamble coming and then other things. But this is, of course, all in the realm of what if, because you will not see those cards because this game is over. So you can just kind of, by means of going, ooh, yeah, well, my next play, and then this, maybe, perhaps. And it's great for you know, for some post-game chat, to just see what's going on. But again, your opponent does not see this, because if I go to the corp screen, I only see the cards that the corp is showing. So the corp card is viewed like this. Of course, this is the state known only to me, and the runner side is only shown to the runner. The corp player does not see this. So this is the important part. So you can say whatever you want to your opponent, they will never know. You can shuffle, it doesn't really matter whatnot. But now, okay, this was a game that we finished, so do not click concede. This is giving up. This is basically saying I cannot win this game, I'm going out. You're still technically playing the game, and the game is over. So the game state already finished, so but just don't concede. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you stacking cards. Whoops. My pain. But okay, well, anyway, sorry. If you change the rig layout, it's gonna be changing. Whoops, I'm clicking this a bit too much, but yeah. Pure cosmetics, this is basically changing the way the runner cards are shown. The stacking of cards, I didn't really have a chance to show you much because there were no dupes in the game. There were no duplicates, so it was kind of hard to see. So what I'm just gonna do right now on the corp screen, though, is I'm going to very, very quickly just get out of this game that I terribly lost against myself. And the game ended with my own loss against myself. And what happens right now is, oh yeah, the connection aborted, whatever. This is on the other side. Never, don't worry about this. What happens right now is I can go to my stats. This is where the fun starts. And look at me. I have actually in stats, I do have this really cool thing, which is showing me that I have a game. And it was a test game for the runner. Took 0 turns, but I don't even know why it says 0 turns. Why does it say 0 turns? Did I crash something? Oh crap. I may have actually done something terrible and the game just... No! Why don't I have it? Or was I saving it as the runner? No. Oh, okay, maybe... And this just could potentially happen, okay? I'm just checking something very, very quickly on the runner side. Connection aborted. Something bad happened and maybe I just lost the log, which would be terrible. Yep. Oh no, actually I do have a log, but replay unavailable. Something went wrong with my setting. Well, with my settings. Apologies for this. I'm just going to show you the runner side of what I see actually on the screen. This is just happening because I took an unbearable for the server amount of time to play the game, and that might happen as well. But you see that the log has been saved here. If I had the replay saved properly, because I didn't crash it on the corp side, yeah, if I had it saved, I would be able to show you how the replay works. But don't worry about the replay. The replay is a different story for a different day. What is important here is that you actually have the whole game recorded here in a way, so you can kind of go play by play again. And if I had the replay, I would be basically loading back into the table and I would be able to use a simple interface, but very visually descriptive, to replay things from the game and just see what happened when seeing both players' hands and whatnot. I did not use certain commands from the help panel to show you other things because they're just not necessarily useful for you at this moment. But generally with those special commands, you can do more or less everything that you would be able to do at the table, okay? So it's important that they do exist, and hopefully you will not have to use them, but they do exist. I'm thinking very, very quickly about anything else I should be showing you. Oh yeah, well, of course. So remember how I mentioned customizing the game a bit? It's completely possible if you know how to play with CSS a bit. And it's the fun part of having CSS knowledge. I'm just going to tell you that I have an extension installed here which is called Stylus. And you don't see it because right now I'm manipulating certain bits and pieces in the background of the browser that basically you don't see, but I'm using Stylus and I'm using certain parts of code. And I'm just going to show you maybe how it works. Where did it pop up? That's the question. Of course in a different window because it had to be super special. So let me just show this to you. Apologies for the super white screen, but this is what happens when you're me, huh? What I did here, basically, I used the Stylus, and it's all in Polish. Apologies for that as well. I mean, no apologies, but just if you learn Polish, it would be much easier. But the code is all in English, so or all in CSS. It's not even English; it's just CSS. It allows you to override the CSS, so the cascading style sheets of different websites you're using, more or less success. And I just use this to change the backgrounds and whatnot. And I'm going to show you something cool, huh? It's called Stylus. It exists for many different browsers. And what happens is right now, I'm just going to enable it on this site and I'm going to go and spectate the game, okay? First of all, I mean, I click the button and as you can see, the colors change because I like green. Green is my kind of preferred color. It's easy on the eyes and whatnot. And now I'm just going to go into a game and watch somebody else's game, okay? So you're going to see how games are spectated, for example. Oh yeah, oh no, this is all, I mean, I could watch, but this is private, so I need to have a password. Everybody's testing or something. What's going on? Okay, we have DQ Opop and Hisoka. I hope they don't mind. I'm gonna click watch because they are graciously offering the table to be watched. It might take a while for you to load it. Oh yeah, I should have changed one more thing before I start being super fancy about things. Because the way I set it up, it's only on the monochrome background that it works right now, that if you go to play, you're gonna have a slightly animated background. I mean, it could be something very, very fast animated, for example, but this is basically a custom background. And I think they finished the game. No, they're still playing, right? Because of the cool hack that I have, for example, and people who have been watching my streams, they know it, but for those who have no idea about it, I could actually very quickly edit the code and change the background image from one thing to another. So I'm just gonna edit live. And oh, I have many different interesting things here. And there are actually many animated ones. Hopefully this animated one is gonna work, although I don't know if it's gonna be any fun. Oh no, the sea and lake one could be cool. Okay, well anyway, I have to save this very quickly. And now if I change back, yeah, you have a different animation. I mean, it's basically the same animation, but a bit faster, right? But anyway, you can have animated backgrounds if you want to, if you hack a bit the CSS. And, well, anyway, to tell you what's going on here, this is a spectating mode, and I can see the game. I hacked the counters a bit, the sizes of the counters, so all the text is a bit bigger. All the stuff is a bit bigger. The numbers are a bit more visible. There's bold text. Sometimes it maybe goes a bit too big, but it helps me see things easier because I don't like to squint much. And yeah, both players were playing here. Something happened. I don't know. Maybe there was a flat lane or something. No, they have to go. But it doesn't really matter. They are chatting here. You can see them chat, and maybe I shouldn't be looking at their chat. Cards are already stacked the way they are. The rig layout can be changed. But okay, let's leave this game. But yeah, sorry. I'm going to get a bit chaotic right now. Let's watch another game that maybe just started recently. Wait, recently started games are usually on top, which is an important piece of information for you. And for example, if I want to access a private game, I have to know the password. And this is very cool. It's a very cool feature that you should totally watch. Oh, Chuchin versus Raja. Yeah, we're gonna watch this. Players selected their decks. Apologies for the cool animated background, huh? So I'm just gonna spectate. And by the way, I nearly forgot to mention this as well. You can control plus to make the UI bigger. You can control minus in most browsers to make the UI smaller. Of course, this will behave differently depending on your browser. That's a really cool tip as well. And right now, you're seeing the spectate mode, which basically means, well, yeah, you are just spectating the game and you have no view whatsoever on the cards other than the cards that the players are actually using. And I'm going to enable all the sound so you can hear them do things and whatnot. And yeah, you can see people chatting in the text area, and you could be doing totally the same, but you shouldn't be interrupting them. You can hover over public cards or identities, for example, to see what they do. I'm clicking and I cannot do anything with any card, okay? So there's basically nothing I can do other than open the heap or the archives that are empty. I cannot manipulate anything on the screen. This is safe. I could type into the chat, but I will not. I can see that I'm actually spectating this as the runner. So Chuchin doesn't know it's me and he doesn't say, hey, Vesper. Hey. And that's it. I cannot see any hidden information. I can only enjoy this as if I was hovering over the table and not seeing anything other than the cards on the playmat the way they should be played. And I guess that's basically it. Let me just see if there's anything I really skipped that I shouldn't have skipped. But I believe no. So just to wrap it all up, I'm going to jump out of the game because these players are having a lot of fun. I'm going to go back into... Well, no, I'm not going to be going... Am I going to go back somewhere? Yeah, I'm going to go back into my own screen just to tell you that. Oh yeah, I'm going to be wrapping the stream up by saying hello, Mr. Majestic Beard. Thank you for the follow. I'm going to follow you back. And hi there, Pete. Good to see you taking notes. You're writing down notes. Well, if you ever get into Netrunner, let me know. This concludes this attempt at an interactive walkthrough. And I'm just going to repeat again. If you made it up to here watching the stream as a video on demand, thank you so much. Please, please, please clip any useful bits. Share them with people. Let me know about them. I will upload them to the YouTube channel, and hopefully they will be useful for people wondering about the JNet or Jinteki.net interface and the way it plays, okay? So thank you very much for your attention, whether you're watching this live or not live. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time playing for 2 hours against myself and winning. This is one of the beautiful things about playing against yourself, you know? Like, you can only win. You can also lose as well. A bit sad. But anyway. Thank you so much for this. It was quite interesting for a non-scripted experience. I have to say, it was good. Do let me know if there was something I missed or I completely... And please don't tell me about misplays in the game itself. I was trying to show you the UI, right? I'm going to actually probably have a chill game of Netrunner just to enjoy the game. Or maybe I'm going to try and get into Apex Legends, which had server issues all day and I couldn't play a single game. Or maybe I'm going to play Rocket League, who knows. But not on stream. I'm going to take a while from speaking to you folks. Thank you so much for your attention. Do stay tuned for more events online. People are streaming like there's no tomorrow, because there is tomorrow. Do check Always Be Running. Do check stimhack.com. Do check Green Level Clearance, the Discord server for Netrunner. Do also check all the people who are streaming at Always Be Streaming. And should I be actually... What was it ABS? Was that the command? That's not really important. Doesn't really work right now. Nope. I broke it. Oh yeah, well, no. This one actually is not really the relevant one, so never mind. Thank you so much for watching. I will be coming back with some cool streams quite soon. Take it easy, and I'm over and out. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know later on.